fun to watch. And it's gone! Oh, wow! How about that? What a comeback! Ball game! Deep into the night. What a catch!
The great Pacific Northwest, and what a great view that is from the Puget Sound, the skyline of Seattle. Mariner fans are streaming in, and with good reason. Seattle is red hot. Safeco Field, our setting for MLB Live on Facebook Watch. In the American League West, the Angels and the Mariners. Hi everybody, I'm Rich Waltz and welcome to Seattle. This series was billed as a showdown in the West of two surprise teams, two really good stories in the American League. And the Angels were hot coming in. They had won 6 straight going into Sunday. The Mariners hot as well. And we've seen 2 terrific ball games, crazy good games. A dozen home runs in this ballpark combined for the two teams. And both games, Mariner wins, tight Mariner wins. As a result, Seattle has won 10 of their last 12, and they have a half-game lead over the defending world champs, the Houston Astros, in the West. That's our setting today for our Facebook Watch MLB Live. Now, if you're new to watching games on your tablet or on Facebook, you can join in the commentary with an Angels or a Mariners fan group. If you don't want the comments, it's easy. If you're on a tablet or your phone, swipe right to remove the comments. Or if you're on a laptop or a PC, simply take your mouse, get over to the quiet button, hit that, and everything in terms of the comments disappears. But 2 guys will appear, and they're both left-handed, and we're fortunate to have from the Angels broadcast crew, Mark Langston, 16 years in the big leagues, 4 All-Stars, 7 Gold Gloves, 8 years an Angel, and 6 years a Mariner. Another lefty from the Mariners broadcast crew, Ryan Roland Smith. Please welcome the pride of Newcastle, Australia, stylish lefty, an Olympian, a silver medalist, and a 13-year pro as well. And of course, in a series where we've had a dozen home runs, I've got 2 pitchers around me.
Right.
It's been a great show, guys. And Ryan, let's start with the Mariners. Look, Seattle's hot right now. They're doing it without Robinson Cano. They have, in my opinion, the best-kept secret, not only in the American League, but in Major League Baseball, and that is Mitch Haniger. You may not have heard of him, but man, has he put on a show in this series.
Yeah, and you said it, the best-kept secret. It has taken a while for this guy to get the recognition he deserves around the country. Everyone knows him here in Seattle. He has put on a show since coming over in a huge trade. Gene Segura and Mitch Haniger coming over from the D-backs. He has been a huge impact player. But just the power numbers. When you look at the red-hot April he had, 9 home runs out of the gates. Then he cooled off a little bit in the month of May. Only hit the 1 home run, and the RBIs went down. And then he's gotten back on it in June. And check this out. This is another part of his game that is very underrated, is that throwing arm, that defense. Look at that. Valbuena trying to stretch that single into a double. He does it on both sides of the ball. He's a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully the country takes note.
And life without Cano is actually pretty darn good. You see this team every day. Aside from raw numbers, what's the difference without Robbie Cano?
Well, it was interesting. You know, there's a lot of mixed emotions in that clubhouse when he went down, obviously with the injury and then with the suspension. But these guys have so much energy up and down the lineup. You're talking about your 9-hole hitter, Mike Zunino, with 10 home runs. And at the top of that lineup, D. Gordon, man, he's such a spark plug. And then Gene Segura. I can't speak enough about this guy. I'm going to be campaigning for him all broadcast because he deserves to be in the All-Star game.
All right, we turn to the Angels. We turn to Mark Langston. Despite some injuries, the Angels have had a nice run. They had won 6 straight going into Sunday, but they've dropped 2 here. Look, this series has been fun to watch. Some of the biggest moments are from the biggest stars, and the biggest star here, the best player in the game, is Mike Trout. He's put on a great show as well.
2 MVPs, 3 runners-up. He set that bar high, and he is looking to push that bar even higher. Mike Trout in this series against the Mariners has absolutely gone off. 4 home runs in this series. The Angels have scored 6 runs. Mike Trout has driven in 5 of the 6 runs in this series, but you can't win with just one player, and he's doing it from both sides. Not only is he doing it in the offensive side, defensively, we've seen it his whole entire career. This is a guy that puts a cape on. He can scale the walls. He can pull balls back. But the one knock on Mike Trout has been his throwing arm. This is something that third base coach Dino Ebel and Mike Trout really took that to notice and really worked on the mechanical side of that, getting the arm slot in the right spot and being able to throw. And Mike Trout, that's the one area he's really improved this year. Defensively, seen these catches throughout his career. He's been a guy that scaled the wall, brought back many a home run, but it's the throwing arm, I think, that's really caught a lot of guys' arms. Certainly teams are not running on him like they used to in the past.
And the challenge for the Angels of Los Angeles is this. Look at these numbers. This is since 2012. The challenge is putting a team around Mike Trout that can contend, that can get to the postseason. That's why this nice start by the Angels is so promising. We're here in Seattle. It's beautiful. We've got Angels, we've got Mariners, and we've got Elise Woodward. Hi, Elise.
Hey, Rich. It's beautiful today. The roof is open, about 60 degrees, and you can feel the buzz in Safeco Field with the way the Mariners are playing. Angels fans buzzing about Mike Trout and leading the major leagues in home runs once again. We'd love to hear from you and get that buzz on this broadcast. Facebook Watch is a great way to interact with fans just like you. Send us your photos. We want to see where you're watching. You know, with Facebook Watch, the beauty is you can watch it from anywhere, and here are some of the photos that have already been posted so far today. Love that. Greetings from Trout Farm. Yeah, he's done a little damage here against the Mariners. If you're a real big fan, this is for you. This is posted, memorabilia posted to prove how good of a fan you are and a longtime fan. Lindy Brown, that's from the Kingdom opener back in 1977. So a lot of fun things. We'd love to interact with you today and join your fan group at the Mariner fan page or the Angel fan page. And I know Mark Langston was here in the 80s, led the AL in strikeouts 4 times, Mark. You weren't there when the Kingdom opened in 77, but I know you played in the Kingdom and you had a great career. Looking forward to hearing from you today and interacting with the fans as well, guys.
Well, sure glad that we're not in the Kingdom on this beautiful day. That was always the dreaded drive when you drove in on a beautiful summer day across the I-90 bridge, and then you'd have to drive into the big warehouse. It's literally, we're almost looking at the original spot of the Kingdom.
Pitchers did not like that building. It was a great place to hit. So let's talk about this pitching matchup. Both you guys can dive in. Garrett Richards on the right, and the Mariners going with Marco Gonzalez.
Yeah, Marco, look at what he's done since May 15. You're talking a 0.81 ERA. He has turned it on, but it's always, for me, has been the biggest question mark coming out of spring training. What were you going to get from this guy? He came over in a trade, prospect for a prospect last year, and had a really tough time getting that second, third time to the lineup, but he has figured that out.
Garrett Richards got electric stuff.
You're going to see 2 different contrasts as far as pitching is concerned. You're going to see Marco Gonzalez, a guy who's got to hit his spots, got to stay away from the heart of the plate. And then you're going to see power stuff from Garrett Richards. You'll see 97, 98 miles an hour, and one of the best breaking balls in the game of baseball. It'll check in around 91, 92 miles an hour. Has a tendency to spike it every now and then, 15 wild pitches on the season. But Garrett Richards has the ability. If you take out his 2 starts against the Yankees, he's had some bad starts against the Yankees. 4-2 record with a 2.31 ERA in the other 11 starts.
Marco Gonzalez has been a great story in a sense that he's helped this rotation that doesn't have a dominant Felix at the top of it. What have you seen, Ryan?
Yeah, well, Mark talked a lot about the command, and a big part of that too is commanding this breaking ball early in counts. Look at these 0-0 breaking balls. Now, this is a pitch he's always thrown, but it hasn't had that life and that depth. This guy, remembers, coming off Tommy John about a year and a half ago, and it sets up this pitch with 2 strikes. He threw this pitch a lot, this fastball in on hands. He hasn't got plus stuff, but he's able to get these emergency hacks and these off-balance swings because he's setting it up with that 0-0 breaking ball. Look at that, right on the handle. And he has been so good at understanding what pitch works in what sequence.
A 3.28 ERA, 7 wins, and this is start number 14. He's been durable. 2 years removed from Tommy John surgery. Here's the Angels lineup for this ball game. The A-team is out there for Mike Scioscia. They need a game. They've lost the first 2 in this fun series. Ian Kinsler leads it off. He's struggled in this series. He's 0 for 9. Mike Trout has been incredible. 5 hits, 4 homers in the 2 ball games. Justin Upton's had a really good June. Albert Pujols is the DH. He homered in the first game. Zach Cozart, Martin Maldonado, the catcher. Chris Young's in right. Luis Valbuena is at first base. And David Fletcher, just called up from Salt Lake City, makes his major league debut. He starts at third base. As Ian Kinsler comes to the plate, there are clouds above, but the roof is open. All in all, a gorgeous day here in the Pacific Northwest. And Marco Gonzalez takes aim at the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels have dropped 3 straight. Mariners winners in game 1, 5-3, and then last night 6-3. A dozen homers combined between the two teams. Kinsler, Trout, and Upton.
And you talked about the struggles of Ian Kinsler. We went to Detroit in the last road trip, and that's really when Ian Kinsler started to get hot again, and he's been doing a lot better in the leadoff role. They need people to get on in front of Mike Trout, and certainly that's been the struggle.
Strike one, says Tom Hallion, who's working the plate. Phil Cuzzi, Dan Bellino, Adam Hamry is out on the bases. Our umpires here for what is a getaway day for the Angels and the umpires.
No.
And Gonzalez misses outside.
You see that strike one from Marco Gonzalez, Rich? That's been key for him as well, being ahead in the count. You look at the splits, when he's ahead in the count, opponent's hitting 197. And when he's behind, just like that, you know, he's getting 1-2, getting to 2 strikes quickly. When he's behind the count, though, that's when he's really struggling.
And this staff, and I noted Felix is not having the king-like season he's used to having. But since mid-May, Seattle starters have the best ERA in the big leagues. And Gonzalez is a huge part of that, an ERA of right around 2 in his last 7 starts.
Yeah, and that was the one question mark. When you go back to spring training and you're looking at, okay, the offense, they knew there was going to be some thump in that offense, but their starting rotation with what they had. Mike Leake was coming off a really good year when he came over to the Mariners. This guy, we weren't quite sure what we're going to get out of him coming out of spring training after what we saw last year, struggling second, third time through the lineup. But man, he has been so good, especially the month of May. And you mentioned it, to do all that with Felix, the one, you know, link in this rotation who's been struggling.
No!
Pretty amazing.
That one just out, and Gonzalez, who doesn't walk a lot of people, walks Kinsler to open the first. And Mark Langston, for Mike Scioscia, this has been a piece of the puzzle he just hasn't been able to find, and that is finding someone to get on base in front of Mike Trout. His great quote was, "I don't have another Mike Trout to hit in front of Mike Trout."
Nobody does. And certainly that's been the struggle, and there's been 6 guys on this team that have had more scoring opportunities, more guys in scoring position than Mike Trout on this ball club. And obviously Mike Trout's a guy that's in scoring position for a lot of the other guys, but they got to have some guys at the top side of the order. We've seen it in this series. And you look at really the numbers of Mike Trout, 17 of his 23 home runs this season are solo home runs.
Now look, you guys are major league pitchers. You both have seen the 2 games here in this series. And the question is, at what point do you stop pitching to this guy? He's hit 4 homers in this series. He's got 5 hits. And he takes a strike.
It's interesting too, and they have pitched to him in this series, and again the results have been what you'd expect, the home runs. But when you look at the situations, the last couple games here at Safeco Field, they've had those opportunities where they do have to challenge him. You know, in situations where if you pitch around him, that one long ball is going to be a 2-run home run, as opposed to how much tougher it is and how rare it is when you're talking about 2 guys having a chance to hit home runs.
No swing, says Phil Cuzzi down at first base. Now Trout is obviously a superstar, and many feel the best player in the game. Against Seattle, he's even better than both of those superlatives. Against Seattle, he's a one-man wrecking crew. In this ballpark, he's hit 20 home runs. But he bounces it to short. Segura, Gordon's turn, and Seattle gets a double play. And Gonzalez pitches and goes right after Trout, and there's 2 down.
Well, you don't see that very often. Only the 5th time this season that Trout has hit into a double play with that electric speed. Again, he's a game changer in so many different ways, and this ball right here, this is a tailor-made double play with D. Gordon at second base. D. Gordon, familiar territory at second base, a Gold Glover second baseman, and with Segura and D. Gordon now, that was easy pickings.
And that is part of the equation with Marco Gonzalez too. We talked a lot about the curveball, setting up that fastball, but that pitch right there, that was a cut fastball in on the hands to Marco Gonzalez that he started to develop in spring training. And that's a pitch he has been throwing with 2 strikes a lot. So much confidence with that pitch, backdooring that pitch, and just getting those weak ground balls.
Justin Upton has had a real nice June, 4 homers in the month, 15 total, and a big swing and a miss. One of the biggest sequences in this series was a Monday night at bat with Justin Upton and Wade LeBlanc. And it was a cut fastball at 83 miles an hour, punched him out with the bases loaded. Seattle would go on to win a tight one, and then they would win again last night.
Certainly Justin Upton. I think Ian Kinsler said it best this year, going, hey, when Justin Upton gets hot, he will carry this ball club. And we've seen it. He's been a streaky hitter this year when he gets hot. He was hot early in the month of May. 7 home runs, 21 RBIs in the first, I think, 12 games. Got hit on the wrist by Chris Archer. Numbers kind of went down. He's starting to swing the bat a little bit better, but you're talking again about solo home runs. You look at the last 12 games, 4 home runs, 5 RBIs for Justin Upton. The Angels have just not been able to parlay when they get the base runners to have the big hits.
Somewhat of a shift on for Upton. Gordon over towards the bag behind second. That one fouled back to the screen. This is a ballpark that traditionally doesn't yield a lot of long balls, but in this series it has played small. A dozen home runs, and there have been a few guys that have just run wild. Ryan Healy's got 3 homers. Mike Trout's got 4 homers. It's been impressive.
And you talk about, again, this is a big ballpark, a really good pitcher-friendly ballpark, and it's been cold the first 2 games. So you figure that it's even more of an element to get the ball out in this ballpark. But as you mentioned, it's been flying out like it's Coors Field.
And this is really, you know, obviously since the 2001 season where they won 116 games, this is really the first time where they've had that electric offense, where they've had the long ball be a part of their part of the strike.
2-2 on the ground. Busy inning for Segura. Whips it to first in time, and Marco Gonzalez is through the first. This ball game underway. The Angels and the Mariners here. Game 3 of a 3-game set, with Seattle having won the first 2. Now Garrett Richards takes the mound for the Angels, and Martin Langston break him down.
Yeah, Garrett Richards again, stuff-wise, he's got as good a stuff as anybody in the game of baseball. Garrett could be his own worst enemy. Certainly health has been a big factor in the career of Garrett Richards. He's a guy that has had some health issues the last few years. An elbow issue last couple of years that's taken him out. He had a torn UCL, which usually requires Tommy John. He went to stem cell, and the stem cell procedure works, something that Shohei Ohtani's going through right at the moment, and that's been helped. But Garrett Richards, when he's on his game, he's one of the best there is in baseball. Electric stuff. And to me, the last 2 starts have been really good for Garrett Richards. If you look at his last 2, doesn't have a record, but a 1.46 ERA in his last 2 starts. And I have noticed a change with Garrett Richards in his tempo. He has slowed everything down, and because he has the problem of the lower half firing a little too quick, the arms playing catch-up, inconsistent release points. So for Garrett Richards, I've noticed he slowed down the tempo, and I've even seen a couple of times where that begins to speed up. He'll walk off the back of the mound and then regroup and get back on there.
And that's the challenge for the Angels. Its rotations pitched well. Can they continue to do so without Ohtani in there? Seattle's lineup looks this way. Dynamic at the top. D. Gordon had 3 hits last night. Gene Segura is a hitting machine right now. He's 4 for 8 in the series. Haniger had the 2 homers last night. Nelson Cruz hit 2 home runs in the first game of the series. Denard Span has been a real pleasant surprise for Seattle. He's in left field. Ryan Healy, who homered twice last night, is at first base. Ben Gamel gets the start. Gamel over in right. Mike Zunino's behind the plate, and Andrew Romine is at third base. Kyle Seager was a late scratch from this game, and so the switch hitting Romine is in the 9 spot. Richards takes aim at D. Gordon, Gene Segura, and Mitch Haniger here in the bottom of the first. There are the numbers for Richards.
You look at the strikeouts, he's averaging a little over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, but the walks are right there with it, 4.3 walks per 9 innings. And for Garrett Richards, nothing stands out bigger than the 15 wild pitches that he's throwing, and he will spike that hard breaking ball a boatload of times.
First pitch misses out to D. Gordon, who got off to a fabulous start in April. May, not so much. And last night, 3 hits, showed signs of coming out of it in game 1 when he hit a few balls hard up the middle, and he swings through that spike breaking ball.
And Rich, you mentioned the 3 hits last night. This offense has been really good, one of the best in the American League, but it all comes down to the top of this lineup. D. Gordon, it is so important for him to make something happen, put the ball in play with that speed, and then Gene Segura right behind him.
The irony And maybe the agony for the Angels is as they try to chase down the Mariners have two of what the Angels really could use, and that's a top-of-the-lineup speedster.
Oh, they definitely have been searching for that. Ian Kinsler, when they got him, his whole career, he's got track record that says, I'm a really good leadoff hitter. So far this year, that hasn't materialized. We're starting to see him pull out of that, but that's been the big dilemma with the Angels, is getting that guy in the leadoff role.
Big hammer curve. Tom Hallion sends D. Gordon back to the dugout, and Richards has his first strikeout.
Now, this is a curveball for Garrett Richards, and this is usually, you don't see the curveball early in the game from Garrett. Garrett likes to establish the fastball and the hard breaking ball, so this is something from Garrett, and he's got a very good curveball. That's his changeup. He does not have a changeup. He's a fastball, power slider, and a curveball, and he'll use that curveball as a changeup.
I said that Mitch Haniger's maybe the best kept secret in the American League. This guy is a close second.
Absolutely. And the All-Star game, the All-Star voting is happening right now, and it's I think it's a time for the rest of the country, the rest of the world, to see how good and how impactful this guy is, Gene Segura. When you look at the numbers, compare him to other shortstops around the American League, second in RBIs, first in hits.
That's a sliding try by Valbuena, and a long strike. It's 0-2.
First in batting average, third in on-base percentage. I mean, this guy, when you're talking about the Mariners offense, and I mentioned D. Gordon and Gene Segura at the top, Gene Segura is always right in the thick of it. I know that guy, Edgar Martinez, on the screen right now, loves the way he hits. He uses the whole field. He controls the at-bat. He can hit those borderline pitches, makes such really good contact.
And with his speed and his swing, he's almost slump-proof.
Yeah.
Chopper to third. David Fletcher in his Major League debut gets one here in the first inning. Defensively, here are the Angels with Upton, Trout, and Young in the outfield. Fletcher getting the start at third. Everybody waiting for Andrelton Simmons to come back. Cozart has slid back over to short, his natural spot. Kinsler at second. Valbuena gets the start at first. And there are very few as good as Martin Maldonado behind the plate.
Yeah, Martin Maldonado, Gold Glover last year. And you talked about Andrelton Simmons. And even when you read the lineups up, you could talk about the lineup, but you could talk about the guys that are not in the starting lineup.
Yes.
And certainly there's some key guys that are not in there, Simmons being one of them. Simmons is having an all-star year. As Ryan, you were just talking about Gene Segura being an all-star. The Angel fans feel the same way about Andrelton Simmons. Defensively, there's nobody that can really, I think, be in the same breath as Andrelton Simmons defensively. Offensively, .330 this year. He's got the offensive numbers. It's very difficult when you look at the path to get to the all-star game for these two guys.
And an ankle injury. Simmons, hopefully for the Angels, will be back. You hope for this weekend or early next week. He's a big part of this offense, as well as that great defense. Cole Calhoun is out, and of course the Ohtani injury. You lose a starting pitcher and you lose a slugger. So the hope is that the treatment he's got on his elbow, at the very least, allows him to come back this year as a hitter. That ball in the air to right, off the bat of Mitch Haniger. And Young is there, and he squeezes it. And Garrett Richards goes 1-2-3 in the first, in a series that in 2 games has yielded a dozen home runs. This was a rather quiet first here on an afternoon in Seattle. Let's check in with Elise Woodward. Elise?
Well, Rich, we love all the interaction with the fans out here in the Facebook watch game. Look at that shot, just gorgeous, of Safeco Field, about 60 degrees, warm enough to take the jacket off today. Some of the fun stuff when you follow your major leaguers on Instagram, you can get to some fun things and see a lot of great things. So some of the best in this one, Taylor Motter this week, sending out custom cleats in tribute of Sandlot. Really fun stuff. Corey Kluber, a Stetson graduate, sporting his alma mater as they headed. There's the cleats. Taylor Motter. Look at those. You're Killing Me Smalls in tribute to Sandlot, one of the best movies of all time. Pretty fun stuff. There's Corey Kluber, 10 wins this year, supporting his alma mater. Stetson, they fell just 1 game short of getting to the College World Series. Giancarlo Stanton, a photo of him from his high school days, celebrating his alma mater, winning the LA City Championships. Everyone celebrating the victory in Washington, the first major championship there. Derek Jeter with Steph Curry as the Golden State Warriors winning their 3rd NBA title in the last 4 years. And then Seattle ties here. Bob Baffert, the horse racing legend, the trainer for Justify, just captured the 13th ever Triple Crown, chatting it up with Adam Jones, the two of them together. So some fun things for you to find as you follow your major leaguers on Instagram, guys.
All right, thank you, Elise. Into the second, Marco Gonzalez goes to work on Albert Pujols, Zach Cozart, and Martin Maldonado. This ballpark is about to get really busy. The Mariners homestand continues with a 4-game set with the Boston Red Sox. And then they hit the road, see the Yankees and the Red Sox. Albert Pujols and the Angels have an off day tomorrow, then they're down in Oakland. Pujols homered in the first game of this series, and he smokes that one to third. Romine is there to squeeze it.
All right, Albert squares this ball up. This is a little cutter on the inner half of the plate, and Albert has been really good in the middle of the plate in. He has really been attacking the baseball. And this ball, there's nothing you can do with this. This is a smoked line drive right at Andrew Romine, who was a late addition to this lineup. Kyle Seager was scratched right probably an hour before the game.
Yeah, the word we heard is that scratched for personal reasons. He's not injured, which is good news for Seattle. And here's Cozart, who's been a moving man, so to speak, when he arrived and thought was second base with Simmons. No one's going to take him out of shortstop. Cozart, a shortstop with the Reds his whole career. And then with Kinsler's arrival, Cozart has made a transition to third base. He's back at short, but that should end hopefully soon with Simmons' return.
Yeah, and it's a nice luxury for Mike Scioscia when you have a guy like Andrelton Simmons go down to be able to replace him with a guy that's played shortstop his entire career and very good at shortstop.
You know, so much talk too. Last year at the trade deadline, Zach Cozart name came up everywhere. I know it came up around here as well about a guy who can come in, and obviously in the offseason went over to the Angels.
Cozart facing Marco Gonzalez, 3-0 pitch. Great contrast. You've got the electric stuff of Garrett Richards and a guy like Gonzalez, who is a good example that you don't have to blow high 90s to get a low ERA, win ball games, and be a big part of a rotation, though he loses Cozart, his second walk for Gonzalez.
Yeah, and the question was too, that month of May, and since May 15, we talked about the .81 ERA and the run he was on. But this is a guy, when you have stuff like Marco Gonzalez and on the other end, Garrett Richards. When Garrett Richards, a guy who struggles with his command, it's still that glass half full, you know, when you're watching him pitch. But a guy like Marco Gonzalez, when you have this kind of stuff, especially in the game today, everyone's blowing mid-90s. When you're on that run that he's on, that when one little chink in that armor comes up, well, then everyone starts to question, can he sustain this run that he's on?
Oh, certainly, no doubt about it. And it was interesting talking with Scott Service before the game today. Marco Gonzalez was a first-round pick. You don't, and I said, was he throwing 95, 97 before he had Tommy John? Because he's had Tommy John surgery. And he said, no, he was always a 92. So you don't see usually first-round picks that throw 92 miles an hour. And that's a tribute to the command of Marco Gonzalez. And that's one of the reasons the Mariners really probably went after him. They want guys to throw, to keep the ball in the strike zone. And, you know, you look at the other side of that, Garrett Richards is just rear back, here it comes, see if you can hit it. When you throw hard, you can get away with some mistakes in the middle of the strike zone. Marco Gonzalez cannot.
Yeah. Cardinals made him that first-round pick. Gonzaga, across the state, was his college home, and that obviously is the first thing you think about when you hear Gonzaga is college basketball and the great run by Mark Few and the Bulldogs. But Gonzalez from Fort Collins, Colorado, and that's where Service first saw him, because Service is a native of Colorado, lives there, and saw Gonzalez as a high school pitcher as well. The count 0-2 to Maldonado, and he takes a fastball that misses out.
And that pitch right there, you look at the count 0-2. This is another thing coming over last year, putting guys away, having that fourth pitch, you know, developing that fourth pitch to get a second, third time through, but also having the ability to put guys away when you're 0-2, save that pitch count and get deeper into the game.
Chris Young on deck, Cozart at first, and a throw to first. Now, the running game, Gonzalez essentially shuts it down. His caught stealing percentage is 67%. He has 5 pickoffs this year.
And you can see that move right there was a good move. He hung right there, and most of the time when you run on a left-handed pitcher, it's first movement. You are guessing that he's going to go to home plate. So a guy like Marco Gonzalez, who hangs just a click, can really get a lot of pickoffs.
And he has that step off the back. He's got that quick feet when he's coming to the stretch position. Just keep your eyes peeled, because you'll see 1 or 2 today, I guarantee it. And that's something that if you're a base runner over there, you have to keep on your toes, because he will mix that in.
And that's, boy, being a left-handed pitcher, to have a step-off move,
Yeah.
that's what you hope for. You keep waiting for him to creep a little bit farther, and if you have the ability to get it over there quick, you can pick a lot of guys off in that direction.
Maldonado steps out. Maldonado, a really nice year last year. In fact, he was a Gold Glover, had 14 home runs. Not a guy that walks a lot. And Gonzalez picking at the strike zone, misses low. It's 2-2.
I think it was last year he might have been hit more times than he walked last year. And this year it's pretty darn close. He's been hit 6 times, only 8 walks on the season.
Those are not really a stolen base threat. 2-2. And he got him. 87 miles an hour, and it looked like he threw it by him.
Yeah, and that's that cutter we're talking about. We talked about the curveball, but that cutter again, that backdoor pitch is something that he has gotten so much confidence in. We're talking with 2 strikes. This has been an out pitch for him. The strikeout numbers are up a lot higher than any point in his career, and he just has that confidence digging into the well, especially early in the game too. First, second time to the lineup, getting to that 3rd and 4th pitch.
Chris Young now, veteran outfielder, getting the start in right field. Angels also awaiting the return of Cole Calhoun, and he's starting to play some rehab games down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Cole Calhoun means so much to this ball club, certainly from the left-handed. They don't have a big left-handed presence. Now with Ohtani out, they need the left-handed presence, and Cole Calhoun provides it, especially the Gold Glove defense that he plays in right field, and he was having a Gold Glove season again in right field. Offense has been off for Cole Calhoun this season. So with Calhoun down, Chris Young has been getting a lot of playing time.
Angels at 37 and 31, though they have lost 3 straight, and that's coming off the 6-game win streak that they had, and a lot of that momentum at the end of that streak came without Ohtani in the lineup or on the mound.
Yeah, it's a massive loss for the Angels losing Shohei Ohtani, and they're hoping they can get it back. He went through the stem cell procedure. Same thing we're going to see. The guy on the mound for the Angels today had the same thing, UCL tear, and he went through stem cell. Garrett Richards did, and Shohei Ohtani did the exact same thing, stem cell with PRP on top of it. They're hoping that will help. He's got a grade 2 strain in that right elbow.
In the air, shallow center. It's Haniger out there battling the sun, and he uses the glove and makes the catch. And Gonzalez works around his 2nd walk of the ballgame. Speaking of Shohei Ohtani, here's a slice, a look and a listen at his season so far.
Tip your cap, Shohei Ohtani. 11th strikeout of the afternoon for Shohei Ohtani. Just blew that one right by at 100 miles per hour. Big fly, Ohtani-san! Ohtani-san has done it again!
For Ohtani to be doing what he's doing has been incredible.
Bad news for the surging Angels. Shohei Ohtani with a strained UCL in his right elbow.
Big story of the day, Shohei Ohtani going on the 10-day DL.
What do the Angels do if they lose a 2-for-1 kind of talent like Ohtani, which we've never seen before?
Dark clouds on the horizon if Ohtani needs a TJ.
Now, Mark, as you pointed out, he has undergone the stem cell and the PRP is another option. Both of those is what Richards went through as a pitcher and as a hitter. There's no denying he's had a massive impact on the Angels. The one thing the Angels do have in this case is time and timing. The fact that the injury happens at this point of the season. If he does have to have surgery, you're going to lose next year in all likelihood anyway. So they can try the treatment and see if it responds. And there's a possibility that they get him back at the very least as a hitter. And, you know, the Angels' history in the last 4 seasons Both Andrew Heaney and J.C. Ramirez having stem cell injection before surgery. But you know, look, there's the timing is they can give it some time, and they can give him those 3 weeks, see if he responds to it. Because if he does have surgery, he's going to lose most of next year anyways.
Yeah, this is the first line of defense, and this is where everybody's heading. I believe in stem cell. I believe in this therapy. They're on the cutting edge of this, and they don't really know how this is playing out. It's, as you mentioned, it's hit with some guys, and it hasn't hit with other. Tanaka's another guy that's gone through with the Yankees. He went through some PRP injections. So it's really, to me, it's the future. If guys can avoid surgery and have the stem cells, have your own body repair itself, you're better off with it. Garrett Richards, again, the guy on the mound, was in that same boat. He had a tear in his UCL. He did the stem cell procedure. His elbow is 100% right now. So it is the future. Time is on. There's a drop-off date for Shohei. Obviously, if they don't see improvement, then you're looking at a different scenario.
Richards' fastball has some zip on it at 95, and it backs Nelson Cruz up. Cruz, Denard Span, and Ryan Healy here in the second. Nelson Cruz, 2 laser beam homers in game 1. And he got that off the end of the bat. Shallow right. It brings Chris Young in. And he makes the catch. And Richards has retired all 4 that he's faced. Kyle Seager, as we noted, a late scratch from Seattle's lineup. What would you ask Mike Scioscia? Let us know in the comment section. Mike Scioscia will join us coming up live from the Angels dugout.
He's even got the iPad right there to answer your questions.
That's right. We can text him ahead of time.
iPads are prevalent in each dugout, man, in today's game. Boy, there is a lot of information that these guys can just jump on quickly.
Scouting reports now are in living color because you can pull up a pitcher and his at-bats. If you're a pinch hitter, oftentimes you'll see hitters walk to the rail, get a peek at the video right there in the dugout. The only thing you can't have is a internet connection or a wireless connection that feeds any data into that machine.
Yeah, these guys used to go back down after their at-bats.
Boy, how about Denard Span and the start he's had here in Seattle, the veteran outfielder who was part of that trade with the Rays that brought a valuable bullpen piece in Colome. I think has been a very pleasant surprise.
He really has, and Colome was a big part of that trade. They needed help in the back end of that bullpen, but then they got Denard Span thrown into this mix, and the question was, well, how are they going to rotate this outfield? He gives Ben Gamel a day off, he gives Heredia a day off, and he has been really good since coming over, hitting 300 in the Seattle Mariner uniform, and really fitting into that clubhouse too. They got a good thing happening in that clubhouse, and from everything you hear, he's a big part of that too.
There's a word that managers and scouts use about lineups, and in Seattle's case, the word is length. Yeah. And what they mean by that is it's not just the 1 through 5 that you have to worry about. This is as much length as Seattle has had in their lineup in a long, long time, and that's even without Cano. And this is one of the reasons why this guy here, along with Mitch Haniger, Ryan Healy has popped a dozen homers. And he's got 3 in this series. Hit 2 last night, had a 2-run homer in game 1.
And that's all part of it. When you're talking about the offense here in Seattle, it's taken a while for them to get that depth in that lineup. You're looking at Mike Zunino, who's usually hitting in that 9-hole. He's got 10 home runs already. He's the 9-hole hitter, and he mentioned Ryan Healy. This was my favorite move this offseason. When I saw Ryan Healy come over, I got a chance to see him a ton with the Oakland A's. 25 home runs, and he's hitting down in that 6-hole.
Healy knocks that one into right. Young, it's dying, and it falls for a hit.
And you can do that. Spray the ball, get guys on it. But you're talking about Ryan Healy and the impact. You look at the month of April, he struggled out of the gates. I think that came down to pressing a little bit, trying to turn it on a little bit too much. So here's a pitch you can handle. Up in the strike zone, getting on that Garrett Richards fastball. You know you have to attack him early in the count before he gets to that really good hard slider.
And that's, with Garrett Richards, as hard as he throws, to me, the outfielder could take a couple more steps in, because there's going to be a lot of balls that guys are going to be late to getting to. And that one right there, Chris Young is playing probably normal, but with Garrett Richards, guys will be late getting to that baseball. And that little flare in you saw, it just a step before Chris Young could get to it. He ends up pulling up.
Ben Gamble, in his last 21 games, has been hot, hitting over 400. And he had 3 hits last night, and he has some of the best hair in the American League.
Absolutely. Look at that.
And there's some good hair in baseball.
There is.
Fan take, Jose. Yeah, the Mariner fans are energized right now. The run that this team is on, they've won 10 of their last 12. And everybody has said, well, look, one of these 2 teams is going to get a wild card behind the Astros, but Seattle has caught the Astros. Seattle has a half-game lead over Houston.
And there's a different energy inside this ballpark too. I'm not talking about the size of the crowd. You mentioned the Red Sox coming to town yesterday. There's a different sound. I think it's catching on, and you always hear the stories about 95, and Mike can talk more about this.
Gamble into right field. Young charging around third. Here comes Span. He will score. Ryan Healy into third, and Ben Gamble stays hot.
Yeah, for Garrett Richards, a couple guys on. This ball is elevated. It's 95, but it's up. And as you just talked about how hot Ben Gamble is, he's not going to miss these balls. And this one is right in his wheelhouse. Hits it hard into right field. Puts the Mariners up once again. Talk about momentum. Baseball is all about momentum. And right now the Seattle Mariners have it. And they're on a run. They believe every day when they show up to the ballpark that they will win ball games. And that's something that the Angels, they just had a 6-game winning streak, so they stepped into the series thinking, the same thing when they stepped in here, and they had lost the last game in Minnesota and were able to, come into this to try to gain ground, and now they've gone backwards. So you're seeing 2 different elements here as far as one going forward and one heading the other direction.
At the corners with 1 out, and Zunino is the hitter. Now Zunino can hurt you or he can help you. He is a strikeout possibility, but he can also run into one and hit it out of the park. As Ryan pointed out, he's got 10 home runs. And it's not an easy ride for a catcher with Garrett Richards. Maldonado, a nice job to block it.
Oh, I guarantee it, Garrett Richards has had to buy a few dinners for Martin Maldonado. Martin is one of the best in the game, especially with guys at third base. You have to lay your body out, and the pitcher has to trust it that he can bury his breaking ball. You don't want to leave that pitch up. So for Garrett Richards, he will bury it, and Martin Maldonado will keep it right in front of him. I think he's one of the best in the game at blocking balls.
Gamble can run a little bit. He's at first. Healy's at third. And a good breaking ball there for a strike. They count 1 and 2.
You see Garrett Richards going to that breaking ball a lot earlier in counts when the pressure's on, when there's runners on base. You look at 2, and you look at Garrett Richards, go back to when he first broke into the league, and I think this is before the TrackMan era. You look at the usage of breaking balls and fastballs. He went from being conventional fastball 67% usage to down to 50%. Now the last couple of years, and you look at the numbers too, able to show off that tight spinning hard breaking ball.
Yeah, and that's something you're seeing throughout baseball. You see an arm like this, and I've had many conversations with Garrett. As hard as he throws and as much movement is on his baseball, the more that you can establish that to a hitter, they have to step up and dial that up because it's difficult to get to 97, 98 miles an hour. That's when you throw that breaking ball right behind it. It's tough to lay off that pitch, but you got to establish the fastball.
1-2. Zunino crushes one to center. Trout goes back at the track, over his head and off the wall. Healy will score. Gamble to third, and a double for Zunino.
Well, this is a slider from Garrett Richards, and this one is up. It is not down. And Garrett Richards pays the price for this. Mike Trout, this is a line drive that even Mike Trout, as good as he is, as great as the routes that he takes to the baseball, he's got no chance to catch up with this one. For Garrett Richards, just a couple of mistakes in this inning. Balls that have been up, one to Gamble, and now this one right here to Zunino.
See how strong Mike Zunino is with that swing. A little bit off balance, down and away. We saw this a lot last year. He went on the DL with an oblique, and he came back. He spent some time in AAA, really struggled, figured something out. And man, he's got so much power. When Mike Zunino is hitting the ball hard to center field, to right center, that's when you know his timing is on, and he's going to do some damage.
The versatile Andrew Romine, a switch hitter and an original draft pick of the Angels out of Arizona State long ago. He was a Swiss Army knife kind of guy for the Tigers, especially the last 4 years, playing every position in the Major League Baseball. And yes, he has pitched and he has caught.
Yeah, that's right.
I wouldn't even be shocked here with a little safety squeeze. Andrew Romine's a guy that can handle the bat, knows how to bunt.
You got a guy making his Major League debut at third base in David Fletcher. And a strike there.
Think about how tough it is too for Andrew Romine. Coming to the ballpark today, looking at the lineup card, he's not on it. And then literally, what, 30 minutes before the game? All right, you're in. Garrett Richards, have at it, go for it. Get it done.
Well, there was a lot of guys back in the day when Nolan Ryan threw and Randy Johnson threw it. All of a sudden, they got sick real late and weren't able to make the call.
And of course, the guys like Romine, who are the extra players, whether that era or this era, any start is a welcome thing, even though it's against a guy like Richards.
Absolutely. And when you are a role player on a ball club, you have to show up every day with the mindset. You go through your pregame stuff just like you're going to be in the lineup, and you have to mentally kind of program yourself. And certainly a lot of times in the game, the managers will give you a heads up the night before going, hey, you're in the lineup tomorrow, so you can start mentally preparing. But this is an emergency start for him here today.
Breaking ball is up. Now you got D. Gordon on deck. 4 straight hits, 2 runs after 1 was out here in the second. Infield up the middle is back. Corners are even. The 2-2 is fouled.
Romine doing a good job hanging in there on some tough 2-strike breaking balls.
Ryan, I know if you're like me, those things drive you nuts when these guys start fouling pitches off and you execute the pitch you want, but the good hitters are able to have that ability to just flick it, keep the bat alive. You're on the mound. I saw it this year. Brandon Belt against Jaime Barria, who started last night for the Angels. 21 pitch at bat Belt had, and it basically took Barria out of the game. He ended up throwing 49 pitches in the first inning.
2-2.
You know, you can't help but glance up at that pitch count up on the scoreboard, just watching that thing just start tallying up. Here in the second inning, already 31 pitches.
When you are 20 to 25 pitches into an inning, how much do you lose in velocity or snap on a breaking ball?
To me, I think you start to tire, and that's where the catchers, pitching coaches, that's why you'll see them run out to the mound when there's the pitches are starting to really mount up. That's one of the reasons they will go out there, to try to give you a chance to catch your breath. But your stuff will start to deteriorate when you don't get that little break.
Of course, you can't do that as often as you used to. That's one of the nuances this year of someone going out there and just buying time for a guy to regroup.
I think mentally too, it's exhausting, and I'm not going to lie, there's been at-bats just like this one against Andrew Romine where you start literally saying, all right, here it is, hit it. You're going to throw a pitch inside the strike zone, just put this thing in play, and that's when the damage happens.
Romine battling. Gambles at third, Zunino at second, and a 2-2 again, and he got him. Snap throw, nice pick at third by Fletcher, and back in time is Gamble. And Richards didn't just throw one up there and say hit it. He snapped off maybe the best breaking ball he threw in the at-bat.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Garrett Richards says, all right, I've had enough of this at-bat, and I'm going to bury this breaking ball. He does. And that's one thing with Martin Maldonado. You better not get comfortable with your secondary lead. He will throw behind all the time. He is one of the best at throwing behind guys, and he's not afraid. Even with that runner at third base, a lot of catchers will maybe think twice about throwing behind, because if you throw it away, obviously there's a run.
And Rich, just a disclaimer here, I never had that good hard slider like Garrett Richards does in the back pocket, that's for sure. It's nasty.
And that's one of the things with Garrett Richards, when you get yourself in a little jam like he is, the ability to dial it up, and keep these guys where they are. Angels are trailing this game 2-0 at the moment, and there's a couple guys out there with a base hit, and it could be that scoreboard could look a lot different. So Garrett Richards does have that ability to get those big strikeouts when you need them.
25th pitch of this inning is an 0-1 pitch to D. Gordon. And he hits a ground ball to second. Kinsler is there, gobbles it up, flips to first. But Seattle's on the board, and they do it with 4 consecutive hits. Denard Span, Ryan Healy with singles. Ben Gamble knocked in 1, and with a double, Mike Zunino makes it 2-0. As we head to the 3rd here in Seattle. Our poll question: fate of the 2018 Angels will be wild card, miss the postseason, get to the postseason by winning the West. 57% feel wild card, 32% miss the postseason. 11 American League West champs. Joining us now, the longtime skipper of the Los Angeles Angels, Mike Scioscia. Mike, what have you seen from Garrett Richards, especially in that last inning?
Yeah, Garrett has good stuff. I think you know, they got a couple balls to fall in, but it's big right there, not letting any more there with second and third and 1 out. So his stuff looks good, and hopefully he'll pitch deep into this game.
Yeah, for Garrett, Scioscia is Langley.
Langley.
Hey, for Garrett to get deeper into this game, obviously a lot of pitches in that thing, and that's one of the things with Garrett Richards this year. He has not been able to pitch as deep in the games as you would like. He's only got 6 innings, 9 of his 13 starts. So for Garrett Richards to get deeper, those kind of innings have got to disappear, but he does have the ability to work his way out of those innings, as we were just talking about.
No doubt. You know, Langley, you've seen him. He's got the kind of stuff that can get early, soft contact. First inning was fine. You can see how he's pitching. You know, when he's hitting the spots, he's doing well. Some things got away from him there, but that's great to minimize some damage. Hopefully, he'll be more pitch efficient. You know, the next couple innings.
Mike, Ryan Rowland-Smith. Hey, the loss of Andrew Fitzsimmons, obviously a big one. What's this for you? Is this a challenge as far as how to work around that big loss?
Every team faces it, and I think he's an important part to our club, no doubt. Every club has injuries. You don't hang your hat on that. You've got to absorb it and keep moving on. So, you know, we got a pretty good one there in Zach Kozar, who won a Gold Glove, who's playing short for us now, but we can't wait to get Andrelton back.
Skipper, hope you get him back soon, and thanks for the visit.
Okay, guys, thanks.
All right, Mike Scioscia in his 19th season. And right now, his ball club down 2-0 here in Seattle, trying to avoid a 3-game sweep by a runaway freight train that are the Seattle Mariners right now. Marco Gonzalez fires strike 1 to Luis Valbuena. David Fletcher gets his first major league at bat. And then top of the order, Ian Kinsler here in the 3rd. Gonzalez has walked a batter in each inning. Got a double play ball from Mike Trout in the 1st, and a couple outs to get out of the 2nd.
And you look at Marco starting to settle in, a couple walks, able to pitch around. That's something in April where the game would speed up on him a little bit, where he'd walk that guy or give up that base hit, and the tempo would change. But right now he's running on so much confidence right now with all these pitches. And again, 0-2 quickly.
Valbuena, who was mired in a slump, 3 for 24 coming into the series, has 3 hits in the series. So that's a good sign for the Angels. And he hits that ball to center field, hits it pretty well. Remember, that's Haniger out there today. And he's on the warning track and makes the catch for the first out of the top of the 3rd inning.
Yeah, for Marco Gonzalez also, he has a great scouting report. The 2 guys that just pitched in this series in front of him, similar stuff, not overpowering at all, have to hit spots. If you look at Wade LeBlanc, he pitched game 1, and last night Mike Leake pitched. All 3 of these guys in this rotation right at this moment in this series, similar stuff. They're not going to overpower you with stuff, but they're going to be able to hit their spots and change speeds. So if you're the 3rd guy in this series, you have a pretty good scouting report going into this.
I always love pitching that 3rd day, especially behind a lefty. with similar stuff, because you've got a good look at how they're going to approach certain guys in the lineup.
Southern California baseball fans know this name from his exploits at Loyola Marymount and the fact that the Angels took him in the 6th round. David Fletcher makes his major league debut. Fletcher, who just turned 24. Little tapper back to Gonzalez, and Gonzalez flips to first to get the out. Now look, here on Facebook Watch, we asked you if you had any questions for Mike Scioscia, and due to time constraints we were unable to get some of those questions. So the two we would have asked, I'll throw one Langley's way, as Mike called Mark Langston. Would the Angels think about going to a 6-man rotation after the Ohtani injury? And that's from Luca.
You know, the way the off days were set up, the Angels were in and out of that 6-man rotation. With the off days, it looked like there was a 6-man rotation. Ohtani was a once-a-week guy. He got the starts. If it was Sunday, he'd go Sunday to Sunday. And if there was an off day, it would be whatever day to whatever day. But it's something that the starting rotation kind of bought into early. And you have a lot of guys, almost their entire rotation, they're coming off injuries. So it almost played out well for these guys. But it's to the point now to where Ohtani's going to be out of this rotation. These guys are going to have to go back and pitch every 5 days or every 4 days.
Well, this is interesting. Angels bullpen, Ramirez, the right-hander, is active right now. There was no indication that anything was wrong with Richards. That ball shot down the left field line, and it's going to fall for a hit and bang around in the corner. And Ian Kinsler has doubled here with 2 outs in the 3rd, and that's a good sign. It sets up a Mike Trout at bat with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, but that is bad news right now. Something might be up with Garrett Richards. You're right. We didn't see anything on the mound with Garrett Richards. As Ian Kinsler continues to swing that hot bat, this ball is a little bit up in the zone, and he's able to hit it hard down in the corner. Easy double for Kinsler. But Noe Ramirez is up getting loose in the Angels bullpen, and boy, that's kind of scary.
So here's Trout. We'll see how Gonzalez approaches him with first base open. He goes right at him with a fastball for a strike.
We saw it in last night's game. Even though the Mariners were up by 3, there was a guy at second. Actually, Kinsler was on first. He's still second to open the base. You figure that Scott Service had an opportunity to walk Mike Trout. He didn't, and Trout had a 2-run home run off him. And I'm sure Scott Service was thinking, I don't want to put the tying run at the plate, but certainly with Trout, every time he steps up, the guy behind him is going to potentially do some damage also.
Gonzalez not backing down. He's out in front 0-2.
Those are two very hittable pitches. I think a situation like this, when we look at 2 strikes right now.
Trout shoots it into right center field. That's a base hit. Kinsler around 3rd. Up with the ball is Gamble. The throw is cut, and the Angels are on the board. And so Gonzalez aggressive in getting out in front of Trout, but an 0-2 pitch he left around the plate, and Trout punishes it.
Yeah, this just comes down to execution in this situation. You see Mike Zunino trying to set up and in on Mike Trout with 2 strikes, no balls, expand the zone a little bit, and then they're probably going to go back to that breaking ball down below the strike zone. This is just again missed execution here from Marco Gonzalez. It's interesting too. You talk about pitching to Mike Trout. It's a situation, if you can get 0-0, sneak in that 0-1 pitch, all right, let's try and go after him. Maybe expand the zone later in the count. If you go 1-0, 2-0, all right, you know what? We're going to pitch around him.
And now you've got Justin Upton up with Trout at first base.
The thing with Mike Trout that absolutely has amazed me from day one is his plate discipline. And he has the ability to lay off, I'm talking a fraction of the inch on the outer corners. He does not chase pitches, and this year he's chasing pitches even less than he has in his entire career. But the ability, it usually takes years and years and years to really develop that plate discipline. He's had it from day one.
You talk about the scouting reports too. That's something that Marco Gonzalez and Mike Zunino would go over before a game. All right, Mike Trout, obviously everyone knows who he is, what he's done, especially the last couple nights. Let's look at the splits. Let's look and see his swing percentage on certain pitches early in the count. And like Mike said, he's a guy who has been a lot more patient. Okay, we can attack early, but if we get in those hitting counts, 2-0, 2-1, all right, now I think we need to expand the zone a little bit.
Upton bounced to short in the first. Gonzalez, the first hit he gave up was the 2-out double to Kinsler. Trout followed with the line drive single to right. and a 3-0 for Upton. 90 miles an hour with the fastball for a strike.
And this is Marco Gonzalez's second start this season against the Angels, and the Angels were able to get to him in his first start, and that was back on May 5th. He got a no decision, six innings pitched, 4 runs the Angels were able to score.
And with the shift on, Upton shoots one into right field. The Mariners are an aggressive defensive team. They like to shift. And while the Trout line drive probably gets through anything, that one shot through the opening with D. Gordon almost behind second base.
And this was one of the challenges in the month of April for Marco Gonzalez, was situation. You go back to the Mike Trout at bat. He's got him 0-2. He misses a spot, base hit. And all of a sudden, with Marco Gonzalez, he's anchoring on that pitch. You can see that 3 balls straight out of the chute the next at bat, and then 3-1, as opposed to going next pitch, and focusing on what he has in front of him. And this is something that Mel Stottlemyre would be talking about, that. Get that heart rate down a little bit. All right, what are we going to do? Come up with a plan in this situation against Albert Pujols.
Mound visit there, 18 pitches for Marco Gonzalez. His season breakdown, you see the last 10 starts in particular, in a 2.32 ERA. Ryan, you've seen him from day one. What switched in that 4th start?
I think the command, when being ahead in the count constantly, and a big part of that, we saw the numbers there on that breaking ball usage. Having confidence in that early in the count, having confidence to get ahead 0-1, 0-2 with that breaking ball. That's a pitch that was 50-50 for him last year in 2017, and really anything outside his fastball changeup, he was really struggling command-wise.
Pujols smoked one to third for an out in the 2nd. Runners first and second, 2 outs, a run in. Mark Pujols has not hit lefties that well this year. Is that a mystery?
Yeah, I mean, you look at his track record, he's been a guy that's hit everybody, whether left or right, underarm, over the top. He's been that guy. His Hall of Fame numbers, but if you look at the Angels in general have had issues with lefties. They are 4-10 this season against left-handed pitchers, and they have not, and it's a right-handed dominated lineup, so you figure that they would have a better opportunity, but they have struggled against lefties, not just Albert. You can go up and down. Other than Mike Trout in this lineup today, Trout 362 average against left-handers. Everybody else is below 200.
Strike. It's 2-2. Pujols, whose name and his numbers have him on just about every all-time list, in a great spot. He's 7th all-time in homers, 6th all-time in RBIs, 11th in doubles. Of course, he's passed 3,000 hits. He's at 3,030. That's 27th all-time. Yeah, swing and a miss there. And Gonzalez turns one over and ends the inning. But the Angels get a run back on 3 hits, including the RBI single by Mike Trout. Seattle trying to get to the postseason for the first time since 2001. Let's turn back the clock to that magical season.
Swung on and Nelson, deep to left field. It will fly away. 15 in a row. Yeah, here we go. He broke through something out of Star Wars down there.
116 wins. What a season. The magic carpet ride continues.
All right. Will Seattle make the postseason? Will they end this long drought? Is this the year? On Instagram, here on Facebook. Yes or no is our poll question. And of course, in 2001, they won 116 games. The lesson of that year, though, was you can win 116 games and still not have what it takes to get to a World Series. And I can remember late in that season, Lou Piniella, the skipper, asking for, hoping for a bat. And he said, you know, if we run into the Yankees, I think I need another bat. They didn't get that bat. They did win 116 games, but they did not get to the World Series. You wonder this year if maybe there will be an addition. And look, Jerry Dipoto is as aggressive as they get.
Yeah, it's amazing the difference too. You know, you can go out and have a magical season. They've had a few of them, but it's a situation when you get to those playoffs in those big 5-game, 7-game series, who's the difference maker? Who's that X factor? Who's that third starter in that rotation? And that's what's going to be huge. So it's going to be interesting. I look at the Seattle Mariners right now, and the finish line at this point in the season is that trade deadline. What can Jerry Dipoto do leading into that deadline? They did make a move last year, and they were right on the cusp. Probably a good idea, but the situation here is, you know what? We're in it right now. Let's try and make something happen.
Elise Woodward is with us as our sideline announcer, and we'll try to get word from the Angels as to the status of Garrett Richards. Richards has left after 2 innings. Noe Ramirez is in right now. A low whip and an ERA in the low 3s.
Yeah, he's going to fit the bill with what we're going to see on the other side with Marco Gonzalez. Not overpowering at all. Fastball may touch 91. He is a guy that has a very good changeup and a good little breaking ball. His breaking ball will be right about 77 miles an hour, but his changeup is his go-to pitch.
Ramirez worked 2 innings on Monday night. 2 scoreless innings with a couple of strikeouts. Gene Segura, Mitch Haniger, and Nelson Cruz for Seattle. 2-1. Mariners on top. Segura bounced to third back in the first. Segura, an Angel at one time, has hit wherever he's been, whether in Milwaukee or Arizona or here in Seattle, but healthy here in Seattle and healthy this year, and that's really good news for him. End of the bat, didn't get much on it, and Trout is there, and he makes the catch. Mark, what did you see from Richards, especially in that second inning?
You know, it's just a couple pitches that were up in the zone for Garrett, and he's a guy that when he has that good sinking fastball, you see a lot of balls on the ground. Just left some pitches up. There's some balls off the end of the bat that played into that. But the concerning thing is only 2 innings from Garrett Richards. Richards comes out with 35 pitches. That is concerning if you're an Angel fan, that something is not right there. I don't know what it is. We'll get a word, hopefully, at some point from the Angels locker room. But Garrett Richards is not going to come out of a game like this, a 2-1 game right now, unless there was an underlying issue.
Here is Haniger, big night last night, flied to right, his first time up. This is a guy that has really blossomed this year. Edgar Martinez, the hitting coach, and of course the legendary, and let's hope soon to be Hall of Famer, yesterday said Haniger, of all his hitters from last year to this year, has taken the biggest leap forward.
Yeah, I think especially too when you're looking at this is his 3rd year in the big leagues, and usually guys like Mitch Haniger, who's a power threat, came up to the big leagues with the D-backs with the long ball too. He talked about, I talked to him spring training about how he was in AA, AAA, hitting 260, you know, with 5 home runs, 10 home runs. He said that's just not going to cut it. That's not going to get him to that next level. When off he worked with someone, all of a sudden he's got that big leg kick and that power stroke. But you know, you mentioned Edgar Martinez, one of the best pure hitters.
In the hole, Cozart's got no chance, and Haniger's got an infield single.
And the thing that Mitch Haniger does so well is use the entire field, and we've seen that in this series, hitting that ball to right center field. In this ballpark too, he has some serious power. I think that has been the difference with Mitch Haniger. You've seen that on-base percentage go up, and the hit totals go up too, as opposed to just being a pure power hitter.
I'm going to chime in too. I put my vote in for Edgar Martinez as a Hall of Famer. I played with Edgar and I played more against Edgar, and there's been many nights I had to stare at the ceiling because of the damage that Edgar Martinez did to me, and you can't help but be a better hitter if you just sit there and tap into the knowledge of what Edgar Martinez brings. One of the best hitters in the game of baseball. His numbers speak loudly of what he's capable of. And you're going to be a better hitter if you just pay attention to the information that he has for you.
He's not that far removed in terms of playing, and yet this ballpark sits on Edgar Martinez's drive.
That's right.
And Dave Niehaus
Exactly.
way. Dave, the longtime Hall of Fame voice of the Mariners. And Cruz is up. He flied to right. 1 out. Ramirez in for Richards here in the 3rd. Haniger away from first. That ball's crushed. Left field and deep and gone above the scoreboard beyond both bullpens. Nelson Cruz is 16th. D. Gordon. And Seattle's bench fired up.
And Nelson Cruz has been red hot of late, and that's one other mistake that he has not been missing in the month of June. That is a laser beam line drive home run.
Now, there's certain guys you can't make mistakes to when they're hot, and right now Nelson Cruz is swinging the bat hot. That's his 3rd home run in this series, so this ball right here, it just says hit me, and unfortunately for Noe Ramirez, not a good spot. Nelson Cruz made him pay.
Look at this. This is something you just don't see much in the big leagues. That's D. Gordon going through high fives with everybody and waiting for him at the end of it. A guy who wasn't on base, Gene Segura. Watch the chest bump. Now, I know, look, college baseball is going right now, the College World Series. You see that a lot. That's a huge difference in the culture of the Mariners clubhouse, dugout, team. That type of energy I've not seen around these parts in a long, long time.
Yeah, and you said it too. I mean, these two guys on your screen right now, Gene Segura and D. Gordon, are the spark plug at the top of that lineup. And D. Gordon, you mentioned college baseball. That looks more like a slow pitch softball down the local park down here in Seattle. But just the energy he brings, and it's a situation too where he's not loud in your face. He's a really good teammate. There's just that genuine joy of playing the game day in and day out.
Nice take by Bill on Gordon. And here is Denard Span. Scott Service talked about that in our meeting before the game about just what those two guys have brought. Span, that's a nice stop by Valbuena, who gets down to get it, and the second out is at first base. But Ramirez isn't fooling anybody right now. And here comes Ryan Healy.
And D. Gordon, a couple nights ago, he struggled, went I think 0 for 5 or 0 for 6, and I was up. It was an extra inning game. The Mariners won. There was a walk-off win for them, and I was up doing the radio post-game. I was here at midnight, and I was even feeling sorry for myself, the fact that the game had gone on, and I'm still here. I'm like, no one's listening to this right now. And then I'll look out in the field, the lights are off, and this guy's walking up to home plate here at Safeco, no one around, sprinklers on, and just hitting ball after ball after ball, and then going out and shagging his own balls, picking them up through the sprinklers. And that tells you right there the love for the game, the joy and the commitment coming in and day out to this team as well.
Ryan Healy singled back in the second. Well, if you're just joining us, the Angels had Garrett Richards on the mound, and that's usually a good thing. But Richards lasted just 2 innings, pulled for the game after giving up 2 runs and 4 hits in the second. Still awaiting word as to his status. Ramirez out of the bullpen. He's been greeted by a 436-foot 2-run homer from Nelson Cruz.
Good play right there by Luis Valbuena, diving to his left, and there's D. Gordon saying little tip of the cap. And Valbuena, another big piece. This is a guy that plays third base, could play first base, could DH for you.
Ramirez misses out. It's 2-2. An off day tomorrow for the Angels, and a welcome one. A bullpen that's been used, especially in this series, and has been called upon early in this ball game, and so Mike Scioscia's going to have to patch this one together.
That's 3rd game in a row for the Angels captain going to the bullpen early. Nick Tropiano only went 4+ innings, and then last night Jaime Correa only goes 5 innings. So this is a short start for Garrett Richards, just the 2 innings in this game today, and Mike Scioscia is going to have to kind of weave his way through this with a much needed off day tomorrow for these guys.
Ramirez gets the strikeout of Healy. 3 innings in here. Our poll result from the Mariner fan group. Fate of the Mariners will be AL West champs 72%, wild card team 24%. Only 4 said miss the postseason. And I think someone may have infiltrated the Mariner fan group.
Who's that 4%?
4%. Joining us now is the skipper of the Mariners, Scott Service. Normally I would ask you about a 436-foot home run by Nelson Cruz. I want to know more about the post-home run celebration, the high fives, and then the chest bump with D. Gordon and Gene Segura out in front. That really embodies the energy that you guys have right now.
Yeah, we really do have a good thing going on here, and it's driven by those two guys, you know, D. Gordon and Gene. Been the catalyst, kind of the energy guys for us here over the last few weeks, really the last few months. They have been awesome. It's been fun to watch.
Hey, Scott, Ryan here. Quick question: when you go back to spring training, you look at the way this team was, you know, mapped out, the way you're looking at it. Now we're sitting here in June and how well they've done. Is this what you expected? Obviously the potential was there, but is this somewhat of a surprise, or is this what you really expected from this team?
When we originally put this club together in the offseason and got to spring training, I thought we were going to score a lot of runs. Really liked the offense. Didn't quite know where we were at with our starting pitching. I think we liked our starting pitching more than others on the outside, but our guys have been great. Marco Gonzalez is off to a great start this year. Mike Leake's been very consistent. Everybody sees what James Paxton has done, kind of as the anchor of our staff. So our pitching has been outstanding, and the run we've been on has been driven by our pitching, our starters, and our bullpen.
Is it true you've sent a car outside the Angels clubhouse to get Mike Trout to the airport early?
As quick as possible, please. You know, Mike's had a great series. He's a phenomenal player, probably the best player in our game right now. And we've made a few mistakes, and when you make a mistake to him, you're going to pay for it.
All right, Skip, thanks for the visit.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
All right, Scott Service, who's done a terrific job. His Mariners in first place, 43-24, and up right now by a score of 4-1.
Scott Service talking about that rotation back in spring training. That was the big question mark. The front office, the coaching staff, what were they going to get from this guy, Marco Gonzalez, Wade LeBlanc coming in, and also the guy last time, Mike Leake, putting in a good outing.
Now this is Zach Cozart's spot in the order, but it's Nolan Fontana who gets the at-bat. So two exits from the Angels here. Their starting pitcher out, Garrett Richards, and now Cozart comes out of the game, and Fontana hits to lead off the fourth.
Well, Cozart did make that diving play on Mitch Haniger's ball in the hole, and that he hit the ground hard, so I'm not sure. Maybe there was something with that.
I think the biggest concern too, Garrett Richards, when you look at, you know, we pulled up that graphic with the injuries and the Tommy John surgeries with Tyler Skaggs, another guy came back, you know, last year, started to put together last year. Heaney, we saw Heaney the first night of this series. Garrett Richards, look at that rotation. Finally, all these guys back in the same rotation after the injuries, and now all of a sudden one of them goes down.
Let's check in with Elise Woodward. Any word yet on Garrett Richards, Elise?
No, they hope to know.
All right, we're having technical difficulties with her microphone. Word from the truck is that no word from the Angels yet, but they will alert us as to his status, and once they have a chance to brief the media, we'll get word on that. And now you can add to the list not just Garrett Richards, but also Zach Cozart.
Yeah, Ryan, back to your question. Certainly that has been the issue the last couple of years, is the injuries to the rotation, and Billy Epler's had to patch this thing together. Last couple of years, they came into spring training finally with this group all healthy. They lost J.C. Ramirez early, one of their rotation pieces, and he had some elbow issues, and he went through the stem cell procedure, and that didn't. He went through spring training, actually made a couple starts early in the season, and then had to end up getting the Tommy John surgery. So you're right. You feel like finally these guys are all here, the guys that you were counting on for the last few years to be in this rotation, and they're starting to see it.
In particular, that UCL, and Shohei Ohtani is on that list. You can see Ohtani has had the PRP stem cell treatment. Andrew Heaney made a start earlier in this series. And Gonzalez misses down low, and the count is 3-1. Maldonado struck out back in the second. 3 strikeouts so far for Seattle's lefty.
And again, with Ohtani out, Ohtani means as much to the Angels as Paxton does to the Mariners.
And as Cruz means to the Mariners. It would be like taking Cruz and Paxton out of your
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And offensively, I think that's the biggest surprise for me with Shohei was it's so hard to hit here at the major league level. These guys are so good and coming at you. Had a horrible spring. The pitching side I always thought would work because stuff is stuff. But the offensive side, he had really a miserable spring training. He made a last-minute adjustment by just dropping his leg, his front leg. He had a big high leg kick, and he went to almost a toe tap, and he was having problems with everything hard in, and certainly made the adjustments. And you're right, you're missing a key piece not only on the mound, because this would have been the day that Ohtani would have been on the mound, but you're missing him in the lineup till so.
There was some panic, and correct me if I'm wrong, some panic and real concern. That one fouled out from Angel brass, Angels organization, and Angel fans that Ohtani had such a slow spring. But if they had called me, I would have said, calm down, because it is a great story about Ichiro's first spring, back when he was new to the big leagues, and how he struggled mightily in the first spring training he had. That one is knocked into right field, and it's a base hit. Now, so Ichiro shows up, and look, Ichiro is the legendary hitter. It's huge news. And his first week and a half, 2 weeks of spring training, he sprayed balls over the third base dugout. Left-handed bat, weak line drives, so much so that Lou Piniella had to call him in and his interpreter into the clubhouse. And Lou, in his gruff Lou Piniella way, explained to the interpreter that, look, kid, if you're going to make it in the big leagues, you got to pull the ball once in a while. And with a few expletives in there laced in, told him, and at the end of that conversation, Lou said, look, got to pull the ball. You can't play in this league. And he looked at the interpreter and he thought to himself, there's no way this guy's going to interpret that. That one, a little pop-up's going to nestle into left field. Well, to finish the story, that day Ichiro goes out, hits a homer to right, 2 doubles in the gap to right. And as he's walking through the dugout, he's taken out of the game. He looks at Piniella and he says, like that? And Piniella nearly fell out of his seat, and he exclaimed, he knows English. and the moral of the story is, for many Japanese players, spring training isn't about performance or results. It's about fine-tuning. It's about going through drills. It's about working on things. And for many of those players over there, and Ichiro in particular, maybe for Ohtani, spring training's they don't worry about the numbers or the results.
And I think I don't think the Angels panicked at all. I don't think Billy Epler panicked. I don't think Mike Scioscia panicked. It was all the outside world. They were looking at it because there's no track record with Ohtani over here. So they're saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? Maybe he should start the year in AAA. That never came from the Angels at all. They knew what Ohtani was capable of, and he certainly made the adjustment and was able to attack really good fastballs. And again, on the mound side of it, I don't think there was ever a concern with what he was capable of doing on the mound because of his overpowering stuff. But at the plate, I've been impressed because it's not easy. You can talk to these guys. It is not easy to hit. And he definitely benefits with, having Mike Trout and Albert Pujols around, 2 of the best players in the game of baseball. Albert, passed, and now Trout at the immediate to be able to bounce ideas off. And the interpreter, Ippei, is there all the time to be able to translate everything.
Valbuena swings and misses, and Gonzalez gets a strikeout. Angels with an opportunity here with the hits by Maldonado and Young. But it's young David Fletcher with 2 outs now and runners first and second.
And this has been the thing that's been haunting the Angels here in recent games, is the lack of getting that hit with runners in scoring position. I was looking at a stat last night. I think they are 11th in the American League as far as with runners in scoring position getting it done. So it's been a problem, and Mike Scioscia has had to talk about that, saying, hey, we got to do a better job when we have the opportunity to pressure the other team.
Especially Valbuena, too. When you look at, obviously, the batting average is down in the low 200s, but against lefties, he's up around 300. He's been handling lefties really well.
Fletcher drives it in right center field. Haniger giving chase, and he won't get it. And it gets to the wall. And the first major league hit for David Fletcher is going to knock in 2, and it's a triple. And the Angels are right back in it, and it's 4-3. How about that?
Welcome to the big leagues, David Fletcher. What a great moment for him right here. He will never forget this. This ball right here, it really seems like it fools Mitch Haniger. He thought he had it. As we've been talking about the ball jumping in this ballpark in this series, this one continues its path. It splits the right center field gap. And certainly for David Fletcher, his first big league hit and a couple of stakes to go with it.
And there's nothing better than major league debuts, especially when you're able to come up with a hit on that in your first game, and even that dugout too. You can see you've got legends like Albert Pujols, future Hall of Famer Mike Trout, getting really excited for him.
Now Kinsler, and a big at bat here around the midpoint of the game. There's the swing. Look, there's great hitters environments in the minor leagues, and Salt Lake City is one of those, and Fletcher took great advantage of it. He was leading the Pacific Coast League in hits, in doubles, in runs scored. And it plays here in Seattle on an overcast day. Fletcher, the Southern California kid, loyal at Marymount, 1 for 2, and a 2-run triple. Kinsler doubled in the third, walked in the first. So despite the loss of Cozart, and we'll try to get a report on him, the same with Garrett Richards, he's out of the game. There are some bright spots for the Angels. Kinsler's been getting on base. Fletcher's major league debut is a success.
Well, David Fletcher did something that the Angels have been struggling with. Make sure they start driving in some runs, putting some runs in there when they have an opportunity. And not only that, that's that 2-out knock that really is just, it hurts a pitcher. You think you're almost out of this inning, and it's the number 9 hitter, a guy that was in AAA. You think, okay, I'm already out of this inning. Next thing you know, a triple later, and the score is 4-3.
2-2 Kinsler up the middle, but that's where Gordon is playing. Fires to first in time, but the Angels answer. And a 24-year-old making his major league debut, David Fletcher, 2-run triple. And that gives the Angels a pair. And as we head to the bottom of the fourth, it's a 4-3 ball game. Seattle on top of the Angels. This is game 3 of a 3-game set. Seattle has won the first two games that were just crazy good. A dozen homers between the two. There have been 13 home runs hit now with the Cruz homer here. That is one shy of the all-time record for a 3-game series in Safeco Field history. Let's check back in with Elise Woodward. Elise?
All right, thanks, Rich. James Paxton, you guys have mentioned it, just how good he's been this year. Well, it's kind of funny. It's been a little magic touch of that bald eagle. If you remember, back about a month ago, James Paxton, when he was getting ready, national anthem, the big bald eagle landed on his shoulder. So the Mariners on bobblehead day for James Paxton, their ace this year, they've added a bald eagle. They're going to give these away on July 1st, just a couple of weeks from now. Also for James Paxton, the big maple, as they call him, being Canadian and all, whenever he pitches, they have a new feature here at Safeco called the Maple Dog. It's a maple bar. They split in half. They put a hot dog in the middle of it. You guys have been delivered the big maple bar dog, and I'd be kind of curious. That's a treat. I mean, that's a good reason to come out to the ballpark, I think, guys.
Well, thank you, Elise. And here they are, and Ryan Rowland-Smith, the big Aussie, taking a look at you're right. They're essentially maple bars with a hot dog in the middle.
And look, they've been sitting in here for a whole, half inning? I mean, you got to get these out of my face because there'll be sparks flying off this plate here in 2 seconds. They look good. I've had to stare at these things. I can't touch them.
It's kind of like a brunch, right? You get your breakfast and your lunch all mixed into one.
They're gluten-free, though, I think.
Yeah.
Organic.
But, hey, look, I
want to see somebody put ketchup on a maple bar.
Yeah, there you go.
All maple dogs aside, Paxton has become the ace of this team, and we've noted the amazing thing among many amazing things for Seattle is that they're on this run, they're in first place, and Felix Hernandez is not leading the way in the rotation. Paxton's been the ace. Yep. Other guys have had terrific runs. Wade LeBlanc, Marco Gonzalez, Mike Leake. If Felix gets it together, then that's a real shot in the arm.
Yeah, it really is. And you mentioned James Paxton. The year he has put together, and some big highlights, obviously the no-hitter over in Toronto, but he put one of these runs together last year. But the question mark going into spring training, can he make 30 starts? Can he stay healthy? And you look at that big breaking ball, that big slider from him, setting up that easy, fluent 96, 99 mile-per-hour fastball up in the strike zone. He has been electric, and he's been able to bounce back from situations or tough games or whatever it may be. He has truly blossomed into the top of that rotation guy.
Ben Gamble, Mike Zunino, and Andrew Romine for Seattle. And the question for the Angels is, do they have the bullpen pieces, and can that bullpen keep this game close? Garrett Richards lasted just 2 innings. We're still awaiting word from the Angels as to his status. Left the ball game after finishing the inning. Ramirez now walks the leadoff man here in the 4th. Noe Ramirez gave up the 2-run homer to Nelson Cruz in the 3rd. Gamble, who can run, is aboard at first. And here comes Zunino.
Well, you talked about the Angels bullpen, and they had a heavy workload in the month of April. The Angels rotation was really struggling to get deep into the games. You're talking 4 and 5 innings out of their starters. So that meant a lot of work for that bullpen, and they lost 2 pieces. Keenan Middleton was going to be the closer for the Angels. He's out for the year with Tommy John surgery. Blake Wood, another bullpen piece towards that backside. He also is out for the season with Tommy John surgery. So they lost 2 pretty good pieces out of that bullpen because of the workload that they have in the month of April.
This is the Zunino double from the 2nd. Seattle got their first 2. Ben Gamble had an RBI hit. Zunino then doubled. And then Cruz's 2-run homer in the 3rd. Here is Zunino, and that narrowly missed him. And Ramirez is not sharp right now, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see another arm up in the Angels bullpen, though certainly for Mike Scioscia, he needs multiple innings from somebody today.
Yep. This is one of those games where there's going to be some guys in. Noe Ramirez pitched 2 innings in game 1 of this series, and he's going to be asked to give them a couple innings here today.
And he can catch you off guard too. Noe Ramirez, when you're watching Garrett Richards out there, usually you're going to look up at that pitch count and wait for it 70, 80 pitches to start getting loose, start moving around that bullpen. You get your feet up. It's a day game. Just mentally checked out just a little bit, and then all of a sudden get hot quick because something's going on with Garrett Richards early in this game.
Gamble away from first in a 1-run game. Breaking ball, and Zunino out in front, pops it in a shallow left. Upton comes charging in, and he makes the catch. Ramirez has sort of that Sergio Romo delivery and slider and repertoire.
Yeah, he does. Nothing's overpowering with Noe Ramirez. He has the ability, I talked about it earlier, his changeup is, I think, his go-to pitch. He's got that big, slow, sweeping breaking ball that comes in at 77 miles an hour. Fastball will top out maybe at 91, 92. But for him, it's all about precision. It's all about deception because he throws from the side. He's got good hair also. I mean, that's...
There you go.
Talk about Ben Gamble's hair. Well, Noe Ramirez is sporting some good moss up on top.
We'll look at Andrew Romine in the 9 spot. For Seattle, their lineup changed, but right before the game. Kyle Seager was scratched. We were told not with an injury. And Romine inserted. He's in the 9 spot. He struck out back in the 2nd. Good throwing catcher behind the plate. Gamble not running from first. And it counts 0-1.
Oh, Rich, as you were talking about the Angels bullpen, certainly what they do not have is a guy that can give them those 3 innings. And you're seeing a lot of teams in today's game that will carry that long guy that can eat those innings up when the day the starter has the hiccup. And the Angels do not have it. They have a guy like Noe Ramirez. 2 innings is going to be max for him. And everybody that's down there, you're asking a lot to push them through 2 innings. So they don't have that guy, that gap guy that where the day the rotation doesn't have it on, doesn't have the ability to go deep into games to absorb those 3+ innings.
And it's really that unsung position in that bullpen. You can call it a mop-up guy if you want, but when you can save the back end of that bullpen, save those late inning arms for big situations and get 2, 3, 4 innings out of you, it's such a huge plus, especially in a big series like this against the Mariners. Talk about that multi-inning relief role. You've also seen that evolution too of Davinsky with the Houston Astros. Those guys now who can now go multiple innings in tight spots late in the game, in big situations. Andrew Miller with the Cleveland Indians.
Yep.
You're starting to see more of that as that bullpen starts to grow. And obviously the bullpen in today's game, starters are going less and less innings. The bullpen's playing such a bigger role.
0-2. And he got him. Good sharp break and a strikeout for Ramirez, his second. All that being said, the hard part is when you've got to go to that pen in the third inning. And it's one thing to employ a Davinsky or a Miller or an Archie Bradley as your secret weapon. But right now, Mike Scioscia needs length. And he can't mix and match, you know, inning by inning at this point. And so getting through this fourth is crucial. Ramirez has got 2 outs. D. Gordon 0 for 2.
I guess the one luxury he does have is the off day tomorrow. That plays a big part in this.
Angels are the best team in the American League at throwing out runners trying to steal. Obviously Maldonado's part of that, but so is the pitching staff. Gambles away at first. You got Gordon at the plate with 2 outs. And if you're gonna run, you want to run with a guy like D. Gordon up. So if you are caught, Gordon ends up leading off the next inning.
Yep. We'll see if Ben Gamble's going to be on the move here now. 0-2. So this is the scenario you were just talking about. And Martin Maldonado, one of the best in baseball, and it's not a quick delivery. He doesn't get it and really get rid of it quick. It's that strong throwing arm that he possesses, and it is deadly accurate.
How much of your 7 Gold Glove collection was your move to first and your pickoffs and that ability that goes into the defensive part of pitching?
Yeah, I think it all plays into it. That's part of your job, is to be able to read hitters, read runners, see what kind of lead they got. See all of a sudden they take that extra step. Those are things you have to pay attention to, especially at second base or even at first. If there's any movement, if they have movement, you can't throw the ball to home plate. You have to freeze these runners, especially at second base. Guys like to get off even more at second base. If you don't make them stop their feet, they will take the base on you. Those are things you have to be conscious with all the time. And then I used to take ground balls every day.
Were you ever, as a young kid, as a lefty, and I know they don't let lefties play short or second, did you ever run out there and did you play it in Little League in the offhand that helped you with your fielding?
I did a little bit in Little League. I was actually a catcher also in Little League, so left-handed catcher, which they don't progress pretty much
don't let
past
those
Little
guys
League either.
Yeah, they didn't let you do that either.
No, so it was something. I'm left-handed. I wanted to be a right-handed shortstop, and that's why I told you my man crush is on Andrelton Simmons, because I love a guy that can pick it out there, and Simmons certainly could do that.
Gordon on a couple of hops to Kinsler, who sweeps it to first, and Mike Scioscia got what he wanted in the fourth out of Noe Ramirez, and that's a scoreless inning. All right, teammates, roommates, Garrett Richards, Mike Trout. Let's see how much they know about each other.
I'm sorry you put me on the spot right there. Like, my heart just sank for a second. Debbie and Jeff.
My parents' names? Oh, okay. I was like, it's like a trick question. Debbie and Jeff.
Probably like anything Florida Georgia line, most likely.
Despacito.
Brian Urlacher.
Adam Sandler. Wow, come on, it's easy. Tom and Terry, sister Shelby.
Tom and Terry, which he probably doesn't know that, to be honest with
you. I'm gonna say Backstreet Boys.
Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You.
Let's go with Mark Wahlberg.
Sure. Adam.
And you guys, the funny thing about those two, they really do know each other like brothers. They've lived together for almost a decade since they were drafted together, starting all the way back in A-ball, and then continuing even when they were making good money in the major leagues. They lived together. They had a spot in Laguna Beach where they were roommates until this season. They both got married in the off season, so no more roomies for those two, but as you can tell by the video, they like to give each other a lot of grief. They know each other pretty well.
All right, Elise, thank you. Trout has given Seattle a ton of grief in this series. He is 6 of 10, 4 homers, an RBI single in the third. He's bounced into a double play. Marco Gonzalez went right after him in the third inning with a runner in scoring position in 2 outs and got ahead 0-2 and came after him 0-2, and Trout lined one into right for an RBI single. Gonzalez much more cautious here to lead off the 5th inning. Trout didn't like the feel of what he had in his hands.
That might scare you if you're on the mound.
And went and got a new bat without taking a swing.
The Mariners have a 3-man shift on that left side of the infield, and we've seen a few teams do this with Mike Trout and open up basically the right side. And Mike Trout is not afraid to hit the ball to the right side. We saw that his first at-bat actually was to the right side.
Well, it's to the left side, and he smokes this one into the corner and off the wall. And Trout, a one-man wrecking crew in this series, has a double.
You talk about that shift as well. When you look at it, 2 strikes on him, the ability just to not do too much with that pitch. Obviously, he's going to get a tough pitch, expand the zone. This is a little bit different, this at-bat. 2-0. Marco Gonzalez challenging Mike Trout. That is a dangerous move, but able to keep him inside the ballpark. But you go back to that shift, and it's interesting watching these teams shift him, especially in counts too. 0-2, he's able to just poke that ball into right field.
Oh yeah, he will go line to line with you, and that's when Mike Trout's really going great, and he's actually smoking hot right at the moment. He will drive the ball towards right field all the time. That's kind of how you watch his BP. He doesn't pull a lot of balls. He tries to hit the ball the other direction.
Sets up nicely for the Angels, who are down a run here in the 5th. Upton, Pujols, and then Cozart's spot. Remember, he's out, and Nolan Fontana is in that spot. Upton has bounced out and singled.
Mike Trout, 2-time MVP, 3-time runner-up. That bar is so high for him, and I think he's having the best season of his major league career.
And Mike Scioscia today talked about doing a better job of getting people on in front of Trout, and he literally pulled out the stats and looked up Upton's at bats, Pujols at bats, Cozart, Simmons at bats with runners in scoring position, and they all had 30, 35 more at bats with runners in scoring position than Trout. And Scioscia also said, look, we're looking at that leadoff spot. Kinsler's been much better of late. He's been on base twice today. And I asked him, I said, well, what happens when Simmons comes back? Would you think about that? And he didn't say no. He just said, we're going to look at all options to try to get people on in front of Mike, because he said, look, he should drive in 110, 115 runs a game with the damage that he does at the plate. We just need to get people on in front of him.
Yeah, you talked about Ian Kinsler. Now Ian Kinsler starting to swing the bat well. When Simmons comes back, I wouldn't be opposed, and I think it would be a pretty good idea to have Kinsler, Simmons, Trout. Now you have 2 guys. Simmons is the hardest guy to strike out. He will put the ball in play. Kinsler's the same guy. These guys will not strike out. These guys are going to put the ball in play. Simmons' on-base percentage this year is the highest he's ever had.
He's having a career year.
He's having a career year. You hit him second. He's also a guy that swings the bat well, so you can hit and run with Simmons. He's a guy that has no problem going to the right side.
Upton, a 2-2 coming. And a little roller up the line at third, and it is a foul ball. Of course, the beneficiary of Trout getting on base is Upton and Pujols and Simmons and Cozart. And that's been a nice part of the Angels' attack. And even though they've lost 3 straight, the Angels are 37-31, and they're there right now without the last, 8 days of Shohei Ohtani, without Simmons for the last 8 days. Calhoun has been out in right field. So just the fact that they are where they are right now is a pretty good sign. They just need to get out of Seattle with a win.
Yeah, this is big
and move on.
This series was bigger for the Angels than it was for the Mariners. The Mariners have put themselves in a good spot to, even if the Angels come in here and sweep, they're still in a really good spot. So it's a big series for the Angels. But here's the deal. Back in Southern California and around here, that's a good changeup right there from Marco Gonzalez that gets up and way out in front of that. But the panic is probably all on the outside. There's not panic in that Angel clubhouse to where everybody's looking at this series going, oh, wow, they've lost the first 2 games, and it's not quite the start that you want. There is no panic in that Angel clubhouse.
You talked about how big this series is. This is probably the biggest moment in this game for the Angels to put something together, because Marco Gonzalez in the month of May has been really tough when you're looking at 90 pitches and above. This is something that has been the turnaround for him for 2017 into 2018, even April this season. He struggled that second, third time through the lineup, and now he's able to go pitch to pitch and put good sequences together. He's putting away Upton right there for a huge out.
And you noted he's over 90 pitches, 92 right now. Jason Bradford is up in Seattle's bullpen. 1-0 pitch and Pujols out in front, and it's a ball and a strike. Gonzalez struck Pujols out with 2 on and 2 out in the third. Albert lined out in the second. Neil Stottlemyre Jr., pitching coach for Seattle. 1-1. Pujols pulls it on the ground, and Romine has it crawl up his arm. To third is Trout. Pujols to first. Remember, Seager, a late scratch from the lineup. That one ate Romine up. And that's going to bring up Fontana now with first and third.
Now, this ball's hit hard by Albert Pujols down that line, and that's a backhand play. And as you mentioned, he went up, and they're going to give him an error on this play. And he got his feet in the right spot and his body in the right spot. It just took out a little tricky hop at the end. You're looking for the ball to go down, and Mike Trout with a great read on that play right there. You've got to stop. Ball in front of you, you've got to wait and see what happens. As soon as that ball scoots away from Andrew Romine, that's when you will advance to the next base.
That is a tough error too. That ball was hit hard down to third base.
That could have gone either way, and certainly the way that ball, it bounced up and off the glove of Andrew Romine, and it was not an easy play. And Albert Pujols would take a hit right now, I'm sure, and Andrew Romine would love to get rid of that error.
You see Mel Stottlemyre out to the mound, giving Jason Bradford a little time to get loose. Marco Gonzalez season high pitch count is 104 pitches, and that's stretching it for him too, and 7 1/3 innings pitched, and that's stretching it. When I talk about that, from what he did from last year and also coming back from a Tommy John surgery, they've been very cautious when it comes to pitch count and stretching him out as he's gotten back to full strength. It's a big part in the game for him.
At the corners with 1 out, and that one foul back. A little first and third bunt action, which is a favorite play of a former Angel coach, now the world champion manager, one of the great innovators of the game. Joe Madden has always had that first and third bunt play and used it as a weapon, first with the Rays and now on occasion with the Cubs. Probably had more occasion to do it with the Rays, and a little more pop in his lineup in Chicago. And again, Fontana trying to bunt.
Yeah, and this is just a safety squeeze right here. If the ball's on the ground, good luck. You will not throw Mike Trout out. This will be a run right here. And now, all of a sudden, with the count being 0-2, it changes this big time. You won't see it happen again, but it's almost impossible to defend when you have the speed of Mike Trout at third base. This ball just has to get on the ground, and as long as it's not bunted hard at the pitcher, that's a run.
And Fontana fails to get the bunt down and then takes a called third strike. And remember, he is in for Zach Cozart, who left the game. We have not received a report for the Angels on either Cozart or on Garrett Richards. And a big out for Gonzalez.
Yeah, a huge out in this situation. He knows the end of the line is coming. This may be his last inning. Got Mike Trout over there at third base. Albert Pujols at first, and getting that second big out, especially too, defending that bunt. Talk about the Angels, and talked about Madden. But the Angels back, when I was playing against them, that was common practice. 2007, 2008, some of those teams, they bunted a ton. Obviously, the game has changed a lot. We don't see it in today's game. It's more about the long ball, driving in runs. But that's something Mike Scioscia would do a lot with who he had in those teams back in 2007, 2008, 2009.
And look, for those of you that are against bunting, by all means, that's not a play to get the runner from first to second. That's a play to get the runner from third to score.
Right.
Force the first baseman to make the play, and if he turns to throw to first, the run scores.
And it's something to get the bunt down. You know, that was looked down upon. Now I feel like if you can't get the bunt down, oh well, all right, it's not as big of a deal as it is in today's game because guys just aren't able to put the bunt down like they used to.
Now you look at Monday's game against the Angels and Mariners. Similar situation in the 5th inning. Wade LeBlanc, bases loaded. Justin Upton at the plate they were able to get out of that.
Maldonado here, and he takes in on the 0-2 pitch, and the count is 1-2. Martin Maldonado struck out in the 2nd, singled in the 4th, and this may be the end of the road here for Marco Gonzalez. As Ryan pointed out, he's not a guy that has gone over 110 pitches this year. 7 1/3 has been his longest by inning. And a 1-2. Got him. High fastball, 91 miles an hour. The Angels threaten, but they leave runners at the corner. And halfway through this ball game, Seattle hanging on to a run lead. 4-3 ball game. Seattle won the first 2 of this 3-game set, looking for a sweep here. And Gonzalez just reared back. Top end fastball for him, but elevated.
Yeah, and that's the difference too with Marco Gonzalez, a guy, we talk about his stuff. Usually with that kind of stuff, you're going to see that nibbling, trying to trick guys. But the biggest difference for Marco Gonzalez is attacking, pitching backwards a little bit, and going with that elevated fastball in big situations. That was a huge out, and that's something that's when he, on the drive home, he's going to be thinking about that pitch.
Well, that drive home, he's hoping will include a win. He's going to need help from his bullpen because this feels like the end of his ball game. And a 4-3 lead. Scott Servais got to be pretty pleased at this point. Gonzalez getting out of that. This has been a showcase not only for the Mariners and for the Angels, but Mike Trout has had a explosive series. Trout 7 hits in 11 at-bats, 4 homers. He's driven in 6. He's doubled and singled today. Mark, you said something before we were on the air about Trout. We were talking about numbers and awards and all that, and you felt that the Trout off the field is just as spectacular as he is on the field.
This is always a test that I tell with people. Close your eyes. Do this little thing with me. Close your eyes. Put in your mind, what is a superstar? And it should, Mike Trout's face should pop up right there because he's as good as any player you probably have ever seen, certainly in our generation. And the only guy I've ever been able to compare him with was the legend here in Seattle, Ken Griffey Jr. I got to play with Jr. my last year with Seattle. And different approaches from as far as their swing. Mike Trout, a very short, compact swing. Griff with that beautiful swing that he had. But Mike Trout, again, he has set the bar so high. He's come up and it's almost for him, it's like a video game. It looks so easy to him. The ball must look so big to him. You always would like to know what is going on in the head of Mike Trout because he has the ability to slow things down better than anybody else.
And that's so good to hear when, obviously, Mike, you get a chance to watch him every day. I know when the Angels come into Seattle or we go to watch the Angels, you're always paying attention every at-bat. And this is something, obviously, playing on the West Coast that the rest of the country don't get enough of a chance to witness on a day-to-day basis. When you think about that game starting later on the East Coast, we're witnessing one of the best players in history right now. But, you mentioned that off the field, what a superstar he is, and it's so good to hear. There's nothing better when you hear that from a guy who's just that special electric personality and character in the game of baseball.
For Mike Sosa trying to piece together this game from the bullpen, Justin Anderson is in now, and the hitting machine just continues to hit, and that's Gene Segura, 5th hit of this series, and he lines one into center field for a base hit. That'll bring Haniger to the plate. No love right now for Segura in the All-Star voting. The American League voting yesterday was released, the first release. Segura not in the top 5. But there's look, the American League at that shortstop spot is packed, whether it's Lindor, Correa, Manny Machado, who's now a shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, a lot of votes for Didi Gregorius. Andrelton Simmons is having an all-star season. Segura is in that. They should just take like 5 or 6 shortstops and let them play other positions in the all-star game.
Yeah, and you mentioned one name there, Manny Machado, on a team that's not doing a lot of good things right now, the Baltimore Orioles, and that's a situation where they have to get someone in from each team. So obviously with 18 home runs, you can see right here, Valbuena and Gene Segura showing some personality. But when you look at that, the battle he has right now, and again, playing in this market up here in the Northwest, and just like Mike Trout, I'm playing on the West Coast. A lot of East Coast fans of baseball don't get a real good look to see him, the time of game and everything else. But man, he is putting up some crazy numbers on a team that is doing special things. And when the big number that stands out to me, runners in scoring position, the numbers he's put up in the high 300s.
And look, this guy at the plate deserves all-star recognition.
Yeah.
He's 12th or 13th of all outfielders. And sometimes it feels like if you play in Seattle, you're playing in South Alaska. Because in the American League All-Star vote balloting, Dee Gordon is the only Mariner for a team that has the second best record in the American League, is first place in leading the Astros in the American League West. Dee Gordon's the only guy in a top 5 position in the voting right now. And Mark, aside from Trout and Pujols, a guy like Simmons is also being slighted, I think. He's 5th right now in the vote. That one pulled foul.
Well, just as Ryan makes the case for Segura, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we get to see Segura a lot. He's a talented player. His resume is a really good one. He can affect the game in so many different ways. And Andrelton Simmons, we make the same cry down in Southern California on the radio almost every night. You know, get out and vote for Andrelton Simmons because he, to me, difference maker defensively, and I think it's proven that he's probably the best defensive shortstop in baseball. This year, the offense has climbed right with the defense, and his numbers are just as good as a lot of these superstars that we've been talking about.
Anderson with a strikeout of Haniger. On Instagram yesterday, the vote leaders by position. And no surprise, you've got Yankees and Astros, Red Sox. Mike Trout is in there in the outfield. Part of that is those teams are successful. Obviously, the Astros have had such a great run, and they appear on national television a lot. Seattle does not have, for example, Seattle is not scheduled for a Sunday night baseball appearance this year. The Angels were able to get some push early, and a lot of that had to do with Ohtani being on the team. But, you know, oftentimes the national audience is fed a steady diet of Yankees, Red Sox, Indians, Cubs for a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday night. And stories like this in Seattle, and as well even Anaheim with their season, stories like that get overlooked a lot.
Yeah, they do. But you can't look past the Yankees, Red Sox. Both those teams are relevant. Both those teams are 2 of the best teams in all of baseball. People want to see that. They want to see them go toe-to-toe. There's history there, and that everybody, I don't care if you're East Coast, West Coast, you know about the Yankee, Red Sox and their history. So certainly teams like the Mariners, who are in first place, you're always fighting for that. It's always, these games are late. A lot of people don't know a lot of these players on these teams. Some very talented teams. It's all about getting to postseason. When you get to postseason, you are under the big spotlight. Now all of a sudden people get to see the Jose Altuve's and the talented Houston Astros.
Even the year that Nelson Cruz is having is overlooked a bit. Now look, Seattle's going to get a up close and personal look at Boston, because the next 10 games for Seattle after this one, 4 at home against Boston, 3 on the road against the Yankees, and 3 more against Boston at Fenway Park. So over the next 10, it's 7 with Boston and 3 with the Yankees. Good at bat here. Cruz fouls it off. Justin Anderson, third pitcher to work for the Angels. Here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Justin Anderson, a great story. A kid that started the year in Double-A. Wasn't even at big league camp. Had a couple appearances in spring training just as a minor league call-up in spring training. Started the year in Double-A, had 3 appearances there. Popped up to Triple-A, 3 appearances there. Next thing you know, here he comes. I didn't know one thing about this young man. First game I saw him was in Houston in a high leverage situation. 99 miles an hour with a wipeout slider, and I about fell out of my chair going, where did this guy come from?
And it's so tough too when you're not in big league camp to, if you're in Double-A and Triple-A, killing it, putting up good numbers, you know, throwing good games, whatever it is, to get that conversation, get Mike Scioscia and Billy Epler to have that conversation, say, hey, we've got this kid in Double-A, Triple-A. They've never seen him. They didn't get a chance to see him in the month of March.
When you're killing it as a pitcher in the Pacific Coast League, you're really killing it. We've talked about the hitting environments in that league, especially out west in places like Salt Lake City where the Angels have their AAA. When you're putting up good numbers on the mound, then that really catches the eye.
Yes, it certainly does.
Yeah, I've done a lot of tours of the PCL, and you look at the guy in the batter's box right now, Nelson Cruz. Some of those ballparks, I'd love to see him scroll down there for a exhibition or something. When you look at Nelson Cruz too, some of the home runs, 41 home runs, 110 mile/hour exit velocity off those pitches.
Yeah, 436 feet with the home run in the 3rd.
Crazy. 2
home runs in game 1. The Angels are looking at the replay on this throw at first. Valbuena held the tag a long time on Segura. Mike Scioscia has that right hand up, and the word out of the video room with the Angels is
no go,
no challenge. I think that would be a great reality show for like an alternate screen on a baseball telecast. Is let's go live to the replay room, because that is a nerve-wracking job. It's not an easy job, and teams have populated that room with baseball savvy people because there's strategy behind A, what to look for, and B, whether to take a chance on a challenge. There's pressure on those guys to get it right. They don't have as long as they would like to look at the multiple views they've got.
Angels guy that does the replay, Andrew Bailey, who just retired after playing last year. That is who they go to. So they go to a former player who understands the quickness, and there is such a quick turnaround. And the managers are really good at kind of adding a few extra seconds to that if they aren't quite sure which way to go to it. But every time there's a close play, and the infielders are taught now, just keep the glove on the player, because there's a chance that that split minute second might disengage with the base. So every infielder's told, keep that tag on. We'll go to replay and take a peek to see if we can get it out.
2-2, got him.
Mike, I've got to ask, you mentioned Andrew Bailey. I had a chance to say hi to him in the clubhouse. He was in a uniform. Now, I wanted to ask, but I didn't. I knew he was doing the video stuff. What is with the uniform? Is he throwing BP? What's he doing?
He does go out for batting practice.
Okay.
He hasn't thrown on the field. He probably does some stuff in the cage, but you know, it's a nice guy to have around. I mean, he adds a lot.
And teams can use, if you are a coach, they can use a coach as the replay technician or replay coach, or they can make the replay guy a coach. And I think in the first year of replay, some teams just kind of put a guy back there and then learned very quickly that that's a strategic spot, and you need a certain kind of guy in that seat with the headphones on, looking at all the different views and screens, and also a guy that has a little feel for technology as well.
And not only that, they better be very powerful coffee. They need that caffeine kick, because these decisions have to happen so fast. And we get a chance to look at a replay. You could see how long it takes for everybody to turn it around and get the replay. You got to get it, and with the amount of replays, if you're wrong, you lose the replays the rest of the game.
Segura's running, throw is on the bag and on the runner. Nice catch and tag by Fontana there. And Segura is out. Now, that's the universal sign for we are looking at it. Service has his hand up. Now it's Seattle's replay room that is working hard.
And you get to see the release from Martin Maldonado, and they're already off the field after getting a chance to look at this. They are not going to challenge this. Right on the money, right at the runner. And Martin Maldonado, the Gold Glover from last year, shows off some of his skills right there.
Only the 5th time that Segura has been caught this year. Father's Day is coming up in baseball. That's always a terrific Sunday whenever that happens. And many, when they think about Father's Day in baseball, they think about the Seattle Mariners and Mark Langston. You were a year removed from playing with them when they homered, but the Griffeys, Ken Griffey Sr.
Yeah, my last year with the Mariners was Ken Griffey Jr.'s first year. The following year, his dad follows suit, and he certainly made an impact at Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. Sr. was hitting in front of Jr. So it's both those guys. It's so unique to see that the father and son actually get a chance to play together.
Well, Father's Day is coming up. You can give Dad the gift of baseball with MLB.tv. You can watch baseball live or on demand on his favorite supported devices. Save 50% now through Father's Day. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Now the Griffeys, fathers and sons. You were an Angel, right, when they went back-to-back?
I was, and my good buddy Kirk McCaskill was on the mound, and Senior was the one that did it first. And as you can see, that fastball was up and out over the plate. And it's not one that you get burned by the dad, but the kid follows right behind him and said, "Dad, you can't outdo me." It's certainly a great moment in baseball, but not for my buddy Kirk McCaskill.
In Seattle, roof is open, clouds above. There was a thought it would rain and they'd close the roof. Got a Jay Buhner fan in the house. Those two bookend jerseys, Griffey and Buhner. Talk about best buds when we earlier had Garrett Richards and Mike Trout on. Those guys were tight, those two, both Griffey and Buhner in their run here in Seattle.
Yeah, I feel like any story when Ken Griffey Jr. finished up here, I was on that team, and any story when you go back to those years, Jay Buhner was involved one way or the other.
Chris Young is involved here. And it's Seattle who has gone to their bullpen now. The Mariners bullpen has worked a lot lately. They could use a day off. Mike Morin is here.
Mike Morin just getting called up not long ago. Contract selected in AAA, doing good things. He's only thrown the 1 inning. We're getting a chance. He was in camp, back with the Mariners.
And the Angels actually had him, and I've seen a lot of Mike Morin in the past, and he's another guy with a tremendous changeup, one of the best changeups I've seen.
Young fouls one back. Morin, as well as with the Seattle and the Angels. Kansas City for a brief time. That was 2017. Doesn't walk a lot, and with that changeup does get a lot of strikeouts.
This is that part in that Mariners bullpen, bridging that gap to get to Edwin Diaz. This is something that they address this issue, bringing over Alex Colomé. When you're looking at Nick Vincent going on the DL, James Pazos has emerged as being a guy who now is pitching later on in games. So that 6th, 7th inning, that bridging that gap part has been crucial for them.
If they build that bridge today, I don't know that Diaz can walk across it. That one in a right center field, that's pretty well hit. After it is Gamble, and he's there, and the ball pops loose. And Chris Young never stopped running. Gordon had a shot, no throw to third, and the Angels are set up with a tying run at third and nobody out. Gamble and Haniger in the outfield. Remember, Haniger getting the start in center field, and neither could come up with this one.
And it looked like Mitch Haniger, who does have priority, the center field has priority on this ball, had a really good beat on that. And they're giving that a hit. But situation, this ball would have been caught. Obviously, it just comes down to communication with Ben Gamble and Mitch Haniger calling each other off. Who has priority? That's Mitch. That's unfortunate.
That's one of those situations. Mitch Haniger, a right fielder, Ben Gamble, a left fielder. And now you've switched, and these guys rotate out there a little bit. It may have been one that that's all a communication problem right there. And that, as you mentioned, center fielder takes priority over everything. And right there, if two guys are going at it and nobody's saying anything, you will see those kind of things. And right there, at the last moment, Ben Gamble pulled back, but Haniger was not in the spot to make the play.
Shift is on for Valbuena. 3 infielders on the right side, and they're back. And he pops this one up, foul, and out of play. Situational hitting wasn't good to the Angels last night. And right now, all Mike Scioscia needs is a ground ball past the mound to tie this game. Valbuena has flied out and struck out. You've got Fletcher, who tripled for his first major league hit. He's on deck. And you can see the Angels with runners in scoring position, 2 for 9.
Boy, it feels like the Mariners are just taunting the Angels right here, saying, okay.
Soft liner, left field, Span back, makes the catch, and Young is going to score easily. And a nice at bat by Valbuena in a 4-4 ball game.
There's that situational hitting. Valbuena finally coming through. A little sack fly, not trying to do too much with this pitch. Just getting it deep enough. Chris Young to score.
And that's something you don't see a lot. It seems like in the game of baseball, it seems like everybody goes up with that home run mentality, launch angle mentality, and it doesn't matter what the count is, it's the same swing. But right there was a real nice piece of hitting right there. This ball's on the outer half. If you try to pull it, that's exactly where the defense was set up for that. Valbuena gets an RBI on a very good at-bat.
Yeah, that 2-strike approach, you don't see that where you try and take a little bit off the swing, shorten up a little bit. We saw that, let's say 5 years ago, that was pretty prevalent. Even the 2001 Mariners, remember Brett Boone, big power threat, which still had that 2-strike approach where he choked up a little bit, spread out that stance, just tried to put the ball in play.
Fletcher, a big hit, enormous hit, 4-1 game, and it felt like it was slipping away for the Angels. Fletcher making his major league debut, had bounced out in the 3rd, knocked one in the gap in right center field. It went to the wall, and it was a 2-run triple. It cut the lead down to 1, and the Angels have caught Seattle here. Something they couldn't do last night. Last night was a seesaw game without the lead changing. Every time the Mariners would score, the Angels would score, but they couldn't quite tie it or get the lead.
You tell you about the Angels score every time Mike Trout had the Angels to score. Mike Trout drove in all the runs last night for the Angels. They had opportunities in scoring position, and again, the scoreboard dictates kind of what your at bat should be. And we had some situations last night where pitches that were very hittable and players were not able to take advantage of it. Sometimes you got to shorten your swing up and go ahead and get that free RBI.
And it's amazing too, the Mariners still pitching to him, still being aggressive with Mike Trout even after the last couple nights.
That one is a cue shot off the end of the bat, and it floats into center field. And in his major league debut, David Fletcher is 2 for 3.
This game's just too easy, right?
Well, that hit was exactly how he threw it. This is a really good changeup that is hit right off the very end of the bat. And it had a little spin to it, and that one was spinning away from Segura.
You could see his first look as a hitter was to left field, and the ball was spinning out to center.
Yeah, that's that changeup. You're so out in front of it, and he was just able to get a piece of it.
Usually in this situation too, that Mariners bullpen we talked about adding Alex Colomé, add some depth. Usually the wheels would be spinning up in that bullpen. When you look at who pitched last night, Colomé, Cook, Diaz, James Pazos, these guys, it's a situation where Mike Marine's going to have to be lengthened out a little bit because they've got a big series coming up. They don't have the off day like the Angels do tomorrow.
Similar situations where the Mariners rotation a lot of times aren't getting the length that they need. It's all about the starter. The starter needs to set the pace and really help out the bullpen, and they got to get, to me, you got to get 6+ innings. And when I like to change the quality start, and I don't know what fans would think about that, but to me a quality start is you can see this ball right off the very end of the bat, and it actually changed the spin on this baseball. But a quality start for a pitcher now, in my opinion, 7 innings, 2 runs or less.
Right.
And make that stat a meaningful stat.
That one off the end of the bat as well. Segura's going to make the catch. Kinsler pops out, and here comes Trout. Mike Trout in this series has terrorized the greater Seattle metropolitan area with 7 hits in 11 at-bats and 4 homers. And 6 runs driven in, and he comes to the plate now with Fletcher at first and 2 outs. We saw Marco Gonzalez go right after Trout, and he paid for it twice with the RBI single and a double. He got him once on a rare double play ground ball. More into the plate, and Trout takes outside.
And you see that situation, 0-0 pitch, expand the zone. If you do go 1-0, 2-0, you'll start to see him give that intentional walk, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
And that's that same situation. Marco Gonzalez, a big situation early in this game, was able to get ahead in the count, but couldn't execute with 2 strikes.
That's easier said than done with Trout. We saw it last night with Mike Leake. Mike Leake set up Mike Trout 0-2 and executed a perfect slider. This ball is down and off the outside part of the plate, and that is the nitro zone for Mike Trout. He loves the ball down. He loves it off speed down, hard down. It doesn't matter. This ball was in a perfect 0-2 pitch, and Trout was able to go down and get it and drive it out of the ballpark.
Change up for a strike, a 2-0 change up to Trout. This ballpark especially has been a personal playpen for Trout. 20 home runs here at Safeco Field, more homers in Seattle than any other road ballpark. Fastball's in. He had 2 homers in game 1, 2 homers in game 2. He's the first road player with back-to-back multi-home run games in this ballpark.
Wow. There's
an intentional walk there.
3-1 count, and they just said, okay, we're not even going to chance it. You go to first base, and that is the 7th intentional walk to Mike Trout this year, and you're surprised that more teams don't do it because of the damage that he could do in so many different ways.
And I think Mike Marin had that one chance to elevate that fastball, get it elevated though, even though I know he's a low ball hitter, but still have to elevate that pitch. You got one chance. If you slip behind 3-1, that's it.
Now Upton.
And now with Trout at first base, he has scored a ton of runs from first base. Takes the perfect pass every time on the base path. It's another thing that, again, he does everything at the top level, but his base running to me is so impressive. If you sit and isolate on him on the path, on the bases, his precision on it, where he hits just the corner of the base and he is in a perfect alignment for the next base.
Upton fouls that pitch at the plate, and it's 0-2.
Was the guy Justin Upton, obviously 15 home runs. It's pretty red hot at the moment, but really struggling runners in scoring position, hitting under 200, around 185. See Chasen Bradford getting loose again. Chasen Bradford's been that guy. We talk about these middle innings, putting fires out. He's a guy. He got loose last inning. If Marco Gonzalez wasn't able to get through that 5th, and now here he is again, maybe coming in to put the fire out if Marin can't get out of this inning.
Warren misses, and the count now 1-2.
Good changeup, Marin leaning heavy on that pitch in these big counts and these big situations.
Man, that's his go-to pitch. I've seen Mike Morin a lot in my career watching him, and that is his bread and butter.
1-2. Upton, a late, almost emergency hack. He fouls it back.
I've talked to him. I said I played with Trevor Hoffman, the soon-to-be Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer already, but the induction's coming up. And to me, Trevor Hoffman, the best changeup. Trevor could tell you it's coming, and you still couldn't stay back and hit it. And it's not Trevor Hoffman, but it is a darn good changeup.
23 pitches in. A run across in a tie game, and a chance still for the Angels. And Upton hangs in. Fights off a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Upton has been a nice addition to the Angels. Of course, last year with the Angels for 27 games, 7 homers, 7 doubles, a 5-year contract in the offseason. Remember, he was an all-star last year for his first half efforts with the Tigers. Fastball up, 2-2.
And this was the first move for Billy Epler over the wintertime, was to secure Justin Upton. And he had the ability to opt out of his contract. He did, and the Angels wanted him back. The left field has been a black hole for the Angels. They have not been able to really put anybody since Garrett Anderson was out there. They have had no production out of the left field.
Change up and a beauty. And Upton strikes out, and the Angels have now left 8 men on base through 6 innings. But they do get a run. The sacrifice fly by Luis Valbuena. Change-up grip, same release point, and a strikeout of Upton. Let's go down below to Elise Woodward. Elise.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, the Mariners starters this year, one of the big reasons that they are in first place. There are 4 different guys in the rotation with at least 6 ones, led by James Paxton. And this cruise ERA under 4, which is really solid. We love the comments coming in on Facebook Watch and comments directed at you guys. And one of those came in earlier from Clayton Hall. And speaking of that rotation, they want to Clayton wants to know, do the M's need another arm to stay competitive in the AL West? I think the same question would go for the Angels. Is with a win today, they'd only be 5.5 games back of the Mariners for first place. Everybody wants arms this time of season, but how much do they really need them, guys?
You know,
Elise, thank you.
It's a good question, Elise. You know, obviously that question: do the Mariners need to go out? We talked about the trade deadline early on in this game, and in my opinion, I think that's the biggest move they're going to have to make if they want to stay in it. When you're talking August, September, when you're looking at the schedule too, coming up, they're going to face the New York Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, and then you know what? They can be up there in the top of that division, but you need to have that presence, that guy who has that playoff experience, who every 5th day comes out.
Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels, and I talked about him a lot. I talk about him when I do the radio postgame with the Seattle Mariners. You look at the track record, he has had over 100 innings of postseason play. He's had success. He has a great stretch run. When he's with a team that is down that stretch run, August, September, you look at those numbers too. They're off the charts. The other part of this is the health situation. Cole Hamels is a guy who has a good health track record. He's not a guy that you're going to bring over and all of a sudden, 3-4 starts in, he's going to go down with an elbow or shoulder. He's a guy that I think, he's on the team right now, the Texas Rangers, who are willing to give up some pieces. If they can put something and muster it up, that's the guy in the middle of that rotation.
So 4 apiece, the Angels and Seattle. And the first pitch to Denard Span is outside. If you've just joined us, this has been just a fun series to watch. A wild series, 13 home runs combined. That's 1 shy of the all-time record in this ballpark for a 3-game series. But for the Angels, as much fun as it is to watch Mike Trout hit home runs, they've lost the first 2 games. An opportunity here in a tie game in the bottom of the 6th on a day where they got a short start from Garrett Richards. Still a mystery as to his removal, out after 2 innings. Noe Ramirez, Justin Anderson have taken the baton, and Anderson pitching here into the bottom of the 6th inning. Span, Healy, Gamble. Seattle's runs have come from Nelson Cruz, 2-run homer. Then Gamble, the RBI single, and Mike Zunino, an RBI double.
A chance for the Mariners to sweep this series, which is huge. And again, this is a good preview for 2 teams that are going to be in that playoff hunt down August and September. And the Seattle Mariners have everything firing at the moment. Their rotation has been so good since the month of May. Nelson Cruz is on fire in the middle of that lineup. He's got so much presence. There's nowhere really to pitch him because you've got guys around him who can beat you with the long ball.
Got an update from the Angels locker room. Garrett Richards was removed from the game with the left hamstring tightness. Zach Cozart was removed from the game with left shoulder strain, probably on that diving play that he made in that hole.
Wow, so a shoulder for Cozart, a hamstring for Richards. Span knifes one into the outfield, and he's got another hit. Denard Span has found a nice home here in Seattle. Here are the injuries, and I think with Richards there really wasn't one event where you saw, hey, that's a hamstring. But he wasn't sharp, certainly in the 2nd inning. He went 1, 2, 3 in the first, labored through the 2nd, and he was done after 2. This is the play for Cozart. Tumble after trying to make the backhand stop, and he rolled on that left shoulder. You see him hold it. From Mike Scioscia and the Angels, who are just hoping and waiting for Andrelton Simmons and Cole Calhoun to come back, and still suffering the loss of Shohei Ohtani for the time being. Those two players, Richards and Cozart, let's hope that that's not a long-term thing.
Yeah, no doubt. Hamstring, boy, you feel like that's best case scenario for the Angels. They obviously, you don't want any arm-related situations, and they can, hopefully they jumped on it early and were able to get him out and get the treatment and get him back. Zach Cozart, that you could see that play right there. That hurt even up here in the booth.
Yeah, it's good to hear it's not an arm issue, but it's that time of the year where this division, especially the AL West with the Astros and the Mariners, and what they're doing, they can run away with it. It's the time where the Angels need to stay put. This division, they're going to struggle if they do lose those rotation pieces.
Oh, no doubt about it. And every time you play the team you're trying to chase, these are 2-game swings here. So if the Angels able to win this game, they'd end up at 4.5 back, and if they lose it, they'll be 6.5 back.
Ryan Healy, the hitter right now, a single and a strikeout. And of course, look, you're looking not only at two teams who a week ago were trying to chase down the Astros, and the Mariners have done that. They're a half game up. But you're looking at a select two teams that in an American League playoff pitcher doesn't have a lot of suitors for those playoff spots, because for whatever reason, runner bluffs, line into center field. Healy's got a hit, and Seattle's got runners at first and second. Right now, if you think about the 5 postseason spots in the American League, and Healy continues to swing a hot bat, 2 homers last night, 2 hits today.
And that's your 6-hole hitter too, and that's the depth of this lineup that you're talking about. Why they've had so much success, obviously offensively. Guys down the back end of that lineup.
Jose Alvarez is up in the pen and ready in the pen, and with Gamble, the left-handed bat, coming up, Mike Scioscia is going to make the change.
And Alvarez, another guy in that Angels bullpen that got worked hard in that month of April, and he's going to be called upon to try to quiet this little rally right here by the Mariners that they have rolling.
All right, Mark Langston, we talked about the Griffey's father and son, and Father's Day coming up. We dug this out for you. Take a look and a listen.
I was here first. You should get senior. I've been around a lot longer. You should get junior.
Would you mind if your dad came over here, the ownership? And I was like, it'd be fine. When he got here, he got to hang out, and he pulled me aside. He goes, hey, this is your team, not mine. I'm just here to watch you play. I get a front row seat every night to
slap toward left. Polonia on the run, twisting, turning, his 41st.
I learned how to hit playing with him. I watched him set up pitchers. It was easy for me to go, okay, I could take this, I could take that, I could use this. But it was certain things that he did at the plate that I really focused on.
He kind of emulates me a little bit. He swings sort of like I do, but he has both hands on the batters. They would probably say a lot, because I have a tendency to take my hand off, but he doesn't. And he hits for a lot more power.
The 2 Griffeys hit back-to-back home runs, father and son. I almost cried just seeing it.
Fly ball sliced to fairly deep left center field. Devo White back to the track, the wall, makes the leap, and the old man has done it. One more time, fly away.
Untried, yes, yeah.
3-0 pitches hit deep into left center field, and Bishop will look up, and father and son have hit back-to-back home runs.
What are the odds, Dave?
Oh, gosh, Joe, astronaut. What are the odds of a father and son even playing in the big leagues at the same time, let alone on the same team, and let alone hitting back-to-back home runs in the same game?
The back-to-back home runs by father and son, it may never be seen again.
He made going to the ballpark fun.
The great thing about the Griffeys, it's not like a father-son relationship. They're more like brothers. I mean, they really kid each other in the clubhouse.
I know that's my father. I can tell by his hands.
Always great to have Dave Niehaus part of the telecast with those great calls. Joe Simpson doing some color there as well. Griffey statue on the outside of the ballpark. Niehaus has a statue inside the ballpark out in right field. And a roller, a pinch hit opportunity for Guillermo Heredia. And Heredia Getting the call here in the bottom of the 6th in a 4-4 game.
Griffey's number retired here a couple of years ago. And the Angels were actually in town for that. And the Angels were in town last year when Edgar Martinez's number got retired. That's kind of cool. I played with both those guys. I got to see both their numbers retired.
That's because that's where Dave Niehaus started his career with the Angels long ago.
Oh, yeah, he did. No doubt.
Already trying to bunt. He does. Sets down a good one, third base. Fletcher has it in the dirt. Safe at first. Kinsler knocked it down. Heredia's bunt, a good one. And the bags are loaded now.
Yeah, first and second, nobody out. You want the third baseman involved on this bunt play, and that's exactly what Heredia did. Perfect bunt right down that third base line. And just the throw from Fletcher just off. It's in the dirt, and Ian Kinsler was not able to get that. So a perfectly placed bunt, and now the Angels are in big trouble here.
So Alvarez will face Zunino. Bags loaded. And nobody out. Let's see what the Angels do with their infield. Fontana and Kinsler up the middle. And it's going to be an error on the third baseman. David Fletcher.
Yeah, this could be a situation right here where Andrelton Simmons out. Zach Cozart usually plays third base, to where that is a play that might have affected that whole scenario. And actually, David Fletcher did everything right. He came in and got the ball. Just the throw kind of sank on him. Good sinker over there at first base.
And Alvarez maybe spooked here a bit after the sacrifice bunt and the throwing error. He misses twice to Zunino. It was an RBI double and is flied out.
Yeah, dangerous count right here. Count leverage switched to Zunino. And Martin Maldonado, we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, one of the best in baseball is at understanding what the situation is. Knows his pitcher may be starting to spin a little bit out there. His game speeds up, goes out there and calms him down.
The Mariners have been doing this all year long too, late in games, making things happen. 6th, 7th, 8th inning on.
2-0. Zunino fouls it at the plate.
We've seen this in this series. It seems like every time the Angels put a run on the board, either take the lead or tie a ball game, boy, the Mariners follow it right back up the next inning. And these are when you want to throw those zeros, those shutdown innings, after your team just had the ability to tie the game in the top half of this inning. You want to throw that zero on the backside, and Alvarez is going to have to be Houdini to do that here.
And he's not been Houdini in this series. He's appeared twice in this series. Both hitters he faced last night, he gave up hits to. But he's come back into the count, and it's 2-2 now.
And Mike Zunino doing him a favor right there. You can see Alvarez doesn't have his best command, only one pitch inside the strike zone. Mike Zunino helping him out a little bit with that pitch up and away.
Infield back for 2. There's nobody out. Bags loaded. Tie game. Got him! Zunino strikes out. And a big punch out for Alvarez. Now he goes to work on Andrew Romine, who's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
Well, he just got him to chase one the pitch before up in the zone. This one, he goes to the outside part of the plate, and Zunino he's prone to striking out. He's prone to hit the ball a long way, but he would also be a guy in that lineup that strikes out. 65 strikeouts coming into this game here today for Mike Zunino, and that is a big one right there for Jose Alvarez.
It's amazing too, that one pitch you get a guy to chase. Obviously he wasn't trying to throw that pitch up and away. Mike Zunino chased that pitch. It just changes the whole at bat. And he's able to come right back in with loaded bases, pressure's on where he has to make pitches, able to get that strikeout.
And now you could change your infield to, rather than just, giving up a run to a shot at 2. Your mound visits are down to 3 for the Angel. Charles Nagy just ate that one up with a visit to Jose Alvarez. Now the Angels infield, if they get the ground ball up the middle, can get out of the inning. Corners are in. Romine, and in on the grass at first is Valbuena. Almost as if he's expecting bunt. Fletcher's even at third. Alvarez. Grounder to short. Fontana, Kinsler got the double play, and the Angels turn 2. Jose Alvarez escapes. Bases loaded. Nobody out. No problem.
Well, I guess he does have a little Houdini in him right there. We just talked about bases loaded, nobody out. Gets a big strikeout on Zunino and gets this double play. Andrew Romine can run too. This is a nice double play right here. Ian Kinsler, that Gold Glover at second base, is able to get rid of that quickly and really pick up not only Jose Alvarez for this ball club. That's the zero that we were talking about, has now been put behind the run that the Angels just scored in the top half of the inning to tie this ball game.
And remember, the Angels are down a couple shortstops right now. Obviously, Simmons on the DL, Cozart, who had the shoulder injury early in the game. It was Fontana that started that double play with Kinsler.
Yep, Fontana, the guy who was just joined this ball club a couple of days ago. A big play in this game right here. Talked about it earlier. This is a big, huge game for the Angels. They got to roll their sleeves up and try to get away with a W in this series.
All right, kids, roll up your sleeves, get ready. It's once a week we do it. We play it like it or leave it.
Oh boy.
All right.
All right.
So we got topics that come up. We get a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
All right.
Like it or leave it around the league. Mike Trout, a Hall of Famer right now. I say not yet. I mean, he needs a few more years.
I think yes, but thumbs ups or thumbs down. Right at the moment, I would say no, but he's darn close.
A few more years, thumbs up. All right. Mariners will hold off the Astros with this current roster.
Yeah, I'm going to say thumbs up. And the reason why I think the Astros, with their pitching, they're going to go through some slumps. They're going to cool off a little bit. I think that the Mariners can stick with them.
I'm with you, though. I think Seattle needs another frontline starting pitcher. Then the thumbs go up. Man, this was, for any of us who've had a chance, and I got to see Miggy early in his career do a lot of damage. To see that injury, the bicep injury, can he return to his form? I really hope so. He's one of the... Edgar Martinez is in the dugout down there. Those are the two best right-handed bats that I've seen in the last 25 years. All right, last one. Bryce Harper. Now, this was from an anonymous, I believe, executive, apparently, who said that he felt Bryce Harper was overrated and selfish and a losing player. I don't think that's true.
I think thumbs down. That's true too. Yeah. He's a difference maker with that Washington Nationals team, that's for sure.
We have a satellite hookup to Mike Rizzo, and his thumb has gone down too. He doesn't buy that. So he's as far from a loser as you can possibly get. He's a champion. He's a winner. Always has been. Always will be. And these anonymous quotes from these unnamed sources, like a National League executive. It's cowardly and it's chicken expletive. Notice how we lost the graphic just as the expletive was about to arrive.
Good timing.
Good work in the truck. Albert Pujols now into the 7th in a tight game. Jason Bradford, breaking ball. Pujols pulls it foul.
It's another guy. Jason Bradford's had a sneaky good year. Look at those numbers. 175 ERA, 25 innings pitched. All important middle of the road reliever from out of that bullpen. Guy who can come in, get you a couple innings when we talk about that multiple inning guy.
Now Bradford is in, and Seattle has changed their center field. Remember, Heredia had that great bunt that set up the bases loaded. He stays in the game. He's in center. Gamble exits the game, and Haniger is now in right field. There's a look at Haniger in right. That's a better outfield defensively with Heredia in center field. He's really good gap to gap, and Haniger much more comfortable in right field.
Yeah, Heredia has done some really good things this year. Getting a chance to play every single day when you see D. Gordon slide into that second base slot. Heredia able to man center field a lot more, obviously, before Denard Span came in. But that was the one thing about Heredia, was unable to hit righties. They tried to put him in that platoon role. Good pitch there from Jason Bradford.
And down goes Pujols.
That's what Jason Bradford does. Not going to overpower you with anything with a fastball. He's 90-91 with that good sink. But then he gets to this slider. This is another good acquisition. Jerry Dipoto picking this guy up off waivers. Jerry Dipoto loves to make those moves. Here's another one.
Of course, Dipoto was the former general manager of the Angels, and now the general manager here in Seattle. He has been the most active general manager in his time here. Fastball up. Since September of 2015, Seattle under Dipoto has made 71 trades. That's a major league high. And he doesn't just use one team. He's traded with 22 different teams in the last 3 years. Fontana, who started the big double play, is up right now. There you go. If you're scoring with us at home, 144 players traded into or out of the Mariners organization. Fontana gets into that one, drives it to left and deep and off the top of the wall and gone. And Nolan Fontana with his glove and now his bat has changed this game. He starts the double play that keeps it tied and then unties it with an opposite field home run.
Oh, this is a great at-bat, too. This is a ball in the outer half. So many times you'll see guys try to pull off on that and either roll it over or get that weak fly ball. He stays right on this fastball in the outer half of the plate and just drives it. And this is not a bad play by Span. He goes back and tries to make this play. As he leaps up, it hits right off the top of the wall and right into the Angels bullpen.
And so the Angels, who were chasing the Mariners all night last night, never caught them, have caught them and passed them and lead it 5-4.
Wow, big home run.
And we've got Maldonado.
Well, the way you look at it on paper, Angels better score about 3 or 4 more runs. Mariners' best team in baseball in one-run games. They are 21-9 this season in one-run games. So they better tack on a few more here.
And a lot of those runs, like I said, coming late in the game as well.
That was Fontana's second career Major League home run. He had one last year. And there's that one-run record. That one is crushed. If it's fair, it's gone. It's hooking, though. Upper tank, but foul. And Maldonado to settle for a 2-2 count.
Oh, just a click in front of this right here. And you can see even Maldonado is leaning a little bit, trying to keep this ball fair down that left field line.
Look at the way this game's gone, too. And, Mark, you talked about the rotation getting deeper into the game and how that sets up your bullpen. And the Mariners in the month of May had been getting deeper into the game, and you could see how that transitioned into having a pretty automatic 7th, 8th, 9th guy. And a situation like this, Marco Gonzalez going out 5 innings of work, and that momentum shift in that 6th inning, Luis Valbuena with that little sac fly, and see the momentum is shifting into the Angels dugout.
3-2 count here. Swing and a miss, and a strikeout by Bradford. We just showed you the one-run record for the Mariners. They are on pace to set an all-time record for one-run wins. Say that 3 times fast. in
my accent.
In baseball history, and there's a terrific breakdown of what one-run success means on Fangraphs. Jay Jaffe on June 11th. It's online. It's a really good read. It breaks down the one-run wins and the fact that the Mariners have all the one-run wins. The Astros are terrible at it, but the Astros have the run differential, an enormous run differential, which many people measure as the value of a team. They've got the run differential over the Mariners, but the Mariners have the one-run wins. Now the question is it sustainable for an entire season?
It's interesting, and you know, on Facebook someone asked the question of can they keep up with the Astros. When you look at the Astros bullpen, for example, you can break down the numbers of the Astros on paper with that bullpen have done good things, but when you look at close and late games, tight games with the Astros bullpen, that's where they've struggled. And I think that's a big part of this too. How well has your pitching staff handled the situation when you are in those tight games night after night?
And my feeling is it got them to this spot. So you play the game the way you play the game, you win games. That's the bottom line, is you want to score one more run than the other team. And the Mariners, it's got them to this point. Whether they're able to sustain it or not is to be seen, but it puts them in a really good spot.
Jaffe points out in that article that bullpen performance has an outsized effect on one-run record. So to the point you made earlier, if they can keep Edwin Diaz upright and healthy, then they have a chance to sustain it. There's your season breakdown. 40 of the last 95 games versus the Astros, Angels, Yankees, and Red Sox. Ball in the dirt on the 1-2.
And as long as they're on the winning end of this, you talk about one-run games and is this sustainable and how does that affect your bullpen and everything else. If you're on the winning end of this and the schedule they've had in the month of May, obviously they've got a tougher schedule in the month of June, but they're already nearly halfway through it. If they can still stay 500 even after the month of June, they're still in a great spot in that AL West division.
All-time record, by the way, is 42 in a season by the 78 Giants. That went foul back to the screen.
I think it was a couple of years ago the Texas Rangers had that remarkable run in one-run games and ended up winning the division.
Which is amazing in that ballpark too.
Oh, no question.
No one's immune to a blowout in that place.
By the way, the home run by Nolan Fontana, the 14th in this 3-game series, and that ties the all-time record. To left, that ball's hit well. Span is back at the wall. That is gone. Chris Young. And the Angels have left the yard again and lead it now 6-4. And that is an all-time record for a 3-game series here in Seattle. 15 home runs in this series. And it's not 85 degrees here. It was kind of chilly the last couple of nights. It's overcast today.
All right, usually warmth warrants big long fly balls, but this one here, this one, great at bat by Chris Young, stays on this ball, balls up a little bit over the heart of the plate, and gives the Angels a 2-run lead in this game. And it's a 3-hit day for Chris Young, who's been struggling. So it's his bat comes alive in this game here today. And again, the Angels, they had to roll their sleeves up. They have to figure out how to win this game today. And Chris Young now is just a double away from the cycle.
That's right. Remember the ball that Gamble and Haniger collided on in right center. He was given a triple on that. So he's got the single, the triple, and now the home run.
This is really the first hiccup we've seen from Chasen Bradford this season. You talk about that, the stuff and that sinking fastball, but there's that margin for error again. When you're not a stuff guy, when you don't have stuff like Garrett Richards and talking about Marco Gonzalez in that matchup, with a guy like Chasen Bradford, if that pitch is going to leak out over the plate, that's when that happens.
Yep.
This is really the first time we've seen that from him this year.
Hard hit. Healy gets there and gets to the bag. Nolan Fontana, Chris Young, solo homers, and the Angels have grabbed the lead in this one. 7th inning stretch in Seattle, and it's 6-4 Angels. Facebook Watch MLB Live as we hit June. Prime 9, some of the biggest plays we've seen on Facebook Watch so far this year.
Rosario goes after the first pitch, and he's got distance. Here comes Flores, and he scores. Left side, going to be a tough play for Escobar. The fadeaway throw in time.
The patented jump leap Derek Jeter throw in the hole.
Can't draw that up any better for Matt Cook. Looked like it was going to get past him. He gobbles it up.
And what came out wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But I had the leg, I had the setup, and I had the leg, and I had everything. And I think when you're 6'6", it makes it hard for the ball to travel.
Gordon lashes that one down the left field line. Long run, Gallo. It's a foul ball, and it's a sliding.
Got it.
Catch.
Zoom in on him, please.
Not going to be good.
No, it's good. It's a little chewy. Watch the face.
Yeah.
Watch the face.
Welcome back to the big leagues. How about that? Sent down to the minor leagues to work on his stroke for a few days.
Orlando Arcia, welcome back.
To right and deep. And gone! It's tied! 3-2 from Chafin. Into right field. That's a base hit. Here comes McCutchen. Giants win it. That was a thriller last week for sure. This copyrighted telecast this week is presented by the Authority. The Office of Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent. Rich Waltz, Ryan Roland Smith, Mark Langston, our entire MLB Network production crew here in Seattle. Dee Gordon at the plate, top of the order for the Mariners, who've won the first 2 games of this series with muscle. 7 homers for the Mariners in the first 2 games. Gordon shortens to bunt, and it's 2-0. But here in this one, Seattle built a nice 4-1 lead. The Angels have come roaring back, using the long ball themselves. 2 homers in the 7th to take a 6-4 lead.
And a big double play last inning by Jose Alvarez to get out of that bases loaded, no out jam.
Blake Parker up.
You're right, dude.
In the Angels bullpen. Gordon sends that one down the line, peeling out of play, and it's a foul ball. Gordon, Segura, and Haniger. Seattle has made a habit of coming from behind a lot, and a lot of late inning heroics. That has added to the 1-run wins. Was that a beer and a ball, or did the ball stay out of the beer? Gordon's 0 for 3. Jose Alvarez, line drive, base hit, center field. Dee Gordon was on walkabout for you, Ryan, for about a week or so. He was there you go. He was struggling, but he's back. He had 3 hits last night, and that's a really good at bat against a tough lefty.
And a good time for a 2 in this 7th inning to get Dee Gordon on base. It's amazing the pitch quality when that guy is standing over there at first base. This is a pitch, and again, Alvarez was struggling with his command last inning, and he got away with a few mistakes. But Dee Gordon making him pay right here, and they're in a great spot. Even though they're down by 2 runs, this is what the Mariners do late in games.
Do baseball announcers in Australia use that for a slump?
All the time. Literally, I mean, you hear that 5-6 times during the broadcast.
Really? Come on. I haven't heard. Look, I've followed you.
We need to do like an Australian slang.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe in half inning.
What would you call it in Australian slang? What would you call a 2-week slump or a week and a half?
2-week slump. Let me get back to you on that.
Well, I'm suggesting.
Blank here.
I'm suggesting walkabout.
I guarantee on this. I'm getting some comments from Australia right now, trying to give me all kinds of ideas, but something will come to me. I'll try it out there for sure.
Well, that's the beauty of Facebook Watch, is not only is it a free game, but it's available worldwide. Anybody that has internet connection and is able to watch. This reminder: the Angels are back in Los Angeles on Monday, June 18th at the Big A to start a 6-game homestand against the Diamondbacks and the Blue Jays. Diamondbacks are a good ball club and hot right now, especially Paul Goldschmidt. Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, Justin Upton back in action. Angels.com for tickets. Now, the Mariners, there aren't a lot of tickets left, but there are some scattered singles, I think. 4-game series against the Red Sox. The Red Sox, the Mariners, the East and the West collide here at Safeco Field. Mariners.com. You still can get some tickets to that highly anticipated 4-game series, which starts tomorrow night. Blake Parker into the ball game.
Yeah, shocking for Mike Scioscia. He's used Blake Parker a lot now as his closer. Blake Parker had a tough April, 0-1 record with a 4.40 ERA in April, but really, if you look at his numbers since the month of April, a 1-0 with a 1.04 ERA in 17 appearances. Teams are hitting just 169 off him since the month of April.
28,236 here in Seattle on this Wednesday afternoon. They've seen a good ball game. They've seen more home runs. Even the Moose is stunned to see an all-time record for home runs in a 3-game series, 15 of them. Gordon can run. Segura can hit, and he fouls that one back to the screen.
Well, this is one of those high leverage situations you would see teams, you hear a lot about it. This is it right here. This is the heart of the order for the Seattle Mariners, and that might be the reason that Blake Parker is in this game, because this game can turn around quickly with the guys that are coming up at this point in this game.
We saw that in the playoffs last year in 2017. Closers coming in the 7th, 8th inning in the high leverage situations. You thought that was going to catch on a little bit into 2018, but we don't see it too much. What about the Rays too, using the opening open a pitcher in the first inning.
And they did that against the Angels. That was the
Yeah.
They had a bullpen day, but they really made it when Sergio Romo started back-to-back games against the Angels, because the Angels, again, are a right-handed dominated lineup, and they went with Romo to start the game, and he had one good inning and one where he gave up something.
Parker, an elaborate setup in the air, foul, and out of play. It starts a little bit like Craig Kimbrell, and then he's got the waggle going, and then it's a really wide set for a reliever.
I think it's one of his ploys to kind of just lull you to sleep at home plate. It takes a while for him to get finally finished with that sequence that you just were talking about. Blake Parker coming into this year, last year was sensational for the Angels. This year, the fastball velocity down a couple of clicks, and we have seen it in recent games start to come back. Got a very good split finger, and we're seeing a lot more usage of his curveball this year.
Gordon's at first. Seattle go down 2. Segura waits a 1-2.
He's been doing that back with the Cubs. I played with Blake back in 2012 when he was with the Cubs trying to break through. It's here right here doing the same thing. This is back in Des Moines with the Iowa Cubs. Still doing the same stuff, but it was good to see him get a chance with the Angels and put some numbers up too, because he had nasty stuff. It was just a matter of breaking through.
Remember, Maldonado has already thrown a runner out, and he'll pick you off if you get too far off. Segura fouls it back. Maldonado, who won a Gold Glove, really broke through with a Gold Glove last year, has 78 career pickoffs, and it's throwing behind a runner at first or second or third.
He's got a cannon, and he's not afraid to show it or use it at any moment. And if you watch his release, when he throws guys out on the base path, it's not that lightning quick, get it out of his glove. He gets it, and he sets that arm. He loads that rifle, and then he's able to fire from that point on.
2-2, and Segura fouls it back. Gene Segura, another hit in the 5th. He's 1 for 3 in this ball game, and 5 for 11 in the series. Just having a magic. I could steal Kevin Calabro, the great longtime voice of the Sonics, a magic carpet ride of a season right now at the plate. He is second in the majors in hitting, trailing Mookie Betts. Two. And he lines another one into right center field. That's trouble. Gordon is off to the races, headed for third. They will send Gordon coming to the plate. Here's the throw. He's in there. Segura to third.
And this is what makes Gene Segura so good. You can see that sequence of pitches fouling off some tough pitches from the Angels closer Blake Parker in that situation, fastball slider, and able to get that pitch that he can handle, even a borderline pitch. He's still able to shoot that ball to the right center gap. And when you got speed like D. Gordon in front of you, good things happen. See that pitch? That pitch is down and away, and still able to hit that ball nearly all the way to the wall, deep enough for a guy like D. Gordon to score.
And D. Gordon scoring all the way from first base, and a little Mike Trout.
I don't think he got the plate, but he wasn't tagged. Gordon would get up. Now watch Gordon, if we have this sequence go full, he went back and tagged the plate. Maldonado's, he never got the plate, but Maldonado never got Gordon, and Gordon went back and tagged the plate.
Well, even when he wasn't even convinced with the umpire calling him safe that he went back, so that would almost send a flag to you that, hey, maybe I did miss it.
Watch the sequence again. Gordon came up short. Maldonado whiffed on the tag.
Go ahead. Yep, there you got it right there.
You think so?
Yep. I mean, how do you get that overturned, by the way?
Yeah, but why would you go back and tag it?
Just making sure.
Yeah, I know. You're right. Segura's at third. Haniger's up. Now, Tom Hallion at the plate did give a safe call. So in Hallion's mind, he touched it the first time through. In Gordon's mind, he wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, I think that's a situation too. If Maldonado did turn around, slap a tag on him, Mike Scioscia would have been going to the video.
Yep, no doubt about it. But you would have not gotten that overturned. There's no way.
With 2 strikes, the infield does come in. There's nobody out. Tying runs at third. Parker to Haniger. And Haniger, a foul tip. Maldonado squeezes it and holds it for a strikeout.
And Blake Parker, that's that nasty split that he's gotten. That split is back. Had issues again in the month of April with that split. Just kind of tumbled into the zone. This one is a good one. You can see the depth of it right here. And this is a big strikeout, obviously, with the runner at third base. And Maldonado able to hold on to that.
In a tight game, Mike Scioscia has had to use his bullpen, not in the way he really wanted. Garrett Richards went just 2 innings and left with a hamstring injury. Ramirez, Anderson, Alvarez, and now Blake Parker in the 7th.
It's that magic you're noticing from the Seattle Mariners in 2018. Facing the Angels closer here in the 7th, still down 2 runs. You still know that there's some magic left. You got D. Gordon on, and that was the difference maker.
Nelson Cruz hit 2 homers in game 1 of the series. And this is 436 feet of Nelson Cruz for a home run number 16 on the season.
Yeah, big series for Cruz in this series here, and he's done the same thing. Not quite as what Mike Trout's done, but darn close.
That's that laser beam home run. We see a lot of them from Nelson Cruz, and sometimes you just want to go old school and tell him to drop that back shoulder a little bit, get some arc on that ball, because he can hit some screamers over 110 miles an hour.
0-1 pitch foul back to the screen.
I was down on the field the other day when both Trout and Cruz hit those laser beams to center field, and Dave Sims, who does the TV broadcast for the Mariners, were down there, and he said, Sims asked him whose ball was hit harder, Trout's or yours? And he went, Trout's by a lot. Trout's ball ended up 459 feet, and it almost looked like it pushed that batter's eye back maybe a foot, but Nelson Cruz can generate some bat speed.
You know what? He actually was right. 115 miles an hour for Trout, 114 for Cruz.
But he didn't even have to look at StatCast to come up with that answer.
Impressive. In the air, left field. Upton gets some momentum, headed towards the plate, makes the catch. Runner tags and Segura holds. Bad throw. Maldonado dives. Segura coming. Tag at the plate. Out at the plate. Incredible. The Mariners will look at the replay. Maldonado made an incredible catch, flipped it to the plate. Segura tried to come in the side door, and the call was out. The Mariners want to look at it. This will be a review.
This is a big review right here. This is a game-tying run right here. And the throw right there from Justin Upton, way offline. Maldonado gets it, and he looks out. This is an easy call right here.
Out.
He's out by a lot.
It looks like the glove gets him. And this is a rookie Fletcher. This is a guy making, whoa! That's close.
Yes.
Was glove on arm before hand hit plate. This is, remember, Fletcher coming from third. He's making his major league debut, and he had the presence of mind to get to the plate to get Maldonado's flip. He was the cutoff man that was missed.
And Fletcher doing a good job to even get back in some kind of position. You see where that throw was from Upton. That's why it's so important to hit those your cut over there at third base.
Now, it has to be decisive to overturn.
Yep.
From that look, guys, can you tell when glove hits arm? You saw when hand hit plate, but you couldn't tell when glove hit arm.
Well, the fans here get a chance to look at the video board, and of course they're doing the umpiring right here, but the one look that we get where we get to see the hand on the plate, you can't tell if the glove is already on the elbow.
And there always has to be enough of that evidence for them to overturn these calls.
And that's why the original call holds enormous weight.
It certainly does. The original call was out at home plate. Is there enough to overturn this?
I know it wasn't exactly Derek Jeter nabbing Giambi at the plate, but for Fletcher to have the presence of mind to get to the plate, to get the flip from Maldonado, Tom Hallion made the call.
We get a chance to look at their video board,
and we see that
on ours.
Yeah, you can see it from that angle.
It looks like the glove is on that left arm before that right arm touches home plate.
Yeah, that side view. Here's a look at the first base view. The side view that we saw was probably the most definitive look
But there was a lot of things that were going on that play. Again, the throw from Upton. This is a shallow fly ball that they're not even going to attempt to score, but this throw was so far offline. Martin Maldonado had to leave his feet to make this play, and certainly the alertness from Gene Segura saw this and said, hey, I got home. There's nobody home. And as you mentioned, David Fletcher just out of nowhere was able to come in and cover the plate, and Maldonado throws him a strike.
Here we go.
Here comes the decision. Out at the plate. And we'll find out shortly if it's confirmed or if it is call stands. If it's call stands, there wasn't enough to confirm or overturn. As it is, an enormous play by a youngster making his major league debut at third base to hustle in, get the flip, apply the tag, get Segura, and keep the Angels one-run lead.
Wow. Yeah, what a big play right there. On a play that the Mariners weren't even thinking about trying to run. Gene Segura just took a couple of steps towards home plate. Wasn't thinking about scoring right there, but he read this throw and said this throw is so far off target. And the cutoff man was actually Fontana. He was the cutoff man on that play.
And Gene Segura this year has been so aggressive on the bases, sometimes a little too aggressive, getting thrown out in big situations. So a situation like that, like Mark said, that shouldn't even have caused a run from Gene Segura to run in from third base. But man, a lot going on in that play, and this could be the ball game.
Wow. And that's the end of the 7th. Angels hold on to their lead.
Big moment. There's been some swings, but this has been an emotional series. It seems like this series has been super tight, and there's been just so many different things going back and forth. You look at the 6th inning for the Seattle Mariners, bases loaded, nobody out, and the Angels were able to keep them off the scoreboard. And right there, a runner at third base, and 1 out.
All right, let's take a look at the wide look of this play and follow David Fletcher, the Angels' third baseman, on this. Fletcher is the cutoff man, set up on the infield grass. Cutoff man is missed, but watch Fletcher.
Yeah, that was amazing presence of mind right there to get back, even in a good enough position. Remember, too, the route you're taking in that part of the ballpark, you're not used to doing that again. And again, this is his first game in the big leagues. Welcome.
And your back is to the play, so you get it. You don't have any idea where Segura is at that moment, so you got to really quickly figure out where is he at. And a lot of times you'll see that phantom tag. Players are so good at showing you something, pulling it back, and then they slide their hand in while they're doing that. And that was some kind of play.
Look, last night we had Gene Segura making a backwards tag on Valbuena at second base, and here we have Fletcher, who in his major league debut has a couple of hits, including a 2-run triple on a mad dash to cover the plate, and a new pitcher for Seattle.
Yeah, this is Rollins Elias joining the team just before they went on the road. He's a new addition. He got traded over from the Boston Red Sox, who's in their AAA team, and this is a guy that was with the Mariners a couple years ago. He's a 1.5 ERA, 6 innings already. He's a guy, too, that came over. He was in AAA in their rotation, so he can be stretched out a little bit if they need to. Messed around with his arm slot in spring training with the Boston Red Sox, and now here he is back in Seattle and putting up some good numbers already. And part of that bullpen depth that the Mariners were lacking a little bit as they got through to the end of May. Good fastball, big breaking ball. He throws that a ton.
And with the new players agreement, by law, you make a play like that, you have to lead off the next inning. So here's Fletcher. Fletcher off the end of the bat, shoots that one to center field. How about that? In his major league debut, he has 3 hits and has a incredible play at the plate.
Signed to a long-term deal right now. 3 hits, right?
Yeah, have a day right there. Yeah. Certainly a triple and a couple of singles. This one right here, back-to-back hits. His last 2 hits have been off the end of the bat, but they still count.
He's got his game face on right now, trying to keep that smirk off his face.
Well, he was eating the PCL, the Pacific Coast League, alive offensively. And so he hops right in, and it's great to see that translate, at least for a day, in a much needed situation for the Angels, who lead in this ball game, but they've lost 2 more players today. The severity of those injuries not known yet, but their starting pitcher, Garrett Richards, went out with a hamstring injury. That's a broken bat off Kinsler, and that's going to be a double play. Segura to Gordon to Healy, and the Angels have a couple of outs here.
You see that weak contact. Good double play, but you see that weak contact, Elias setting that pitch up with that 0-0 breaking ball for a strike, and then able to get that fastball down in the zone and get that double play. But Fletcher, yeah, this is a chance for him now. Zach Kozak going down. Who knows how long he's going to be out with that shoulder. Obviously, Andrew and Simmons. He's looking at this saying, man, I'm going to stick around for a little bit.
Angels are looking for life. They're looking for life, especially with runners in scoring position and coming up, and certainly big day here for David Fletcher.
Hey, as we suspected, word from New York, call stands was not confirmed, so they couldn't determine that it was actually, he was actually out, but they could not determine conclusively that he was safe, and so the original call holds weight and the call stands. And Mike Trout is intentionally walked for the second time. He's 2 for 3 in the game and 7 for 11 in the series. He only has hit 4 home runs, though. And he's driven in 6.
Twice in this game, 8th time this season that Mike Trout has been intentionally walked. And coming into the series, Trout was a little cold in that series against the Twins. He didn't have a great series against the Twins, and he got here, and that backdrop, that batter's eye, is probably one of the best in baseball. The ball must glow to Mike Trout when he gets it up to the plate in this ballpark.
Justin Upton, the hitter. Yeah, the batter's eye here in Seattle is as dark can get. And it wasn't always that way. When they opened this ballpark, they had a lot of problems with light on the batter's eye. And if you don't know what a batter's eye is, see out in center field, see that big black stretch? That's the batter's eye. It's what a hitter sees the ball off of. And
they should be illegal.
For a year and a half, they tried everything. They tried trees, they painted it green, they painted it black. And it wasn't until they called the engineers at Boeing, nearby Boeing, for help. That ball to right, and Haniger is there, and he makes the catch. The engineers came up with a baffled material, space age type stuff, sort of like a honeycomb or a waffle-like, and it diffuses the light. And when they put it in, they said this is where light goes to die.
That is truly the black hole there.
In center field. It is truly the darkest of dark of batter's eyes. All right, game summary, guys. This has been a wild ride for the Angels and Garrett Richards. The hamstring bothering him, and he had a miserable second inning for sure.
Yeah, definitely for Garrett Richards. Some balls up in the zone. The Mariners made him pay for that. He's really good when he has that good two-seamer sinker down, and then it goes the power slider. But this game is all about Mike Trout. At least this series is, and Mike Trout continues to swing that hot bat, but so is Nelson Cruz.
Yeah. Home runs, man.
Nelson Cruz hit another laser beam. He is so fun to watch, especially when you hear live. Hearing the sound off his bat, there is nothing like it.
Now the Angels came rolling back, and that was David Fletcher's first major league hit. That was a 2-run triple. This was a big moment, getting out of a bases-loaded spot. Alvarez struck out Zunino, and then Andrew Romine bounced into a double play. Nolan Fontana started the double play, and then Fontana led off the inning. Off the top of the wall, his second major league homer. Chris Young got a hold of one. On to the 8th. Gordon scores on what was a double. Segura took third. Gordon, not sure if he hit the plate, came back and tagged it. And then this moment, Upton's throw offline. Segura coming to the plate. Fletcher there. And a heads-up play by the rookie in his major league debut. Not only with the bat, but with that heads-up play. Review call stood. And maybe, so did the 1-run lead.
And maybe the biggest play of the game, because when you look at that, that was a chance for that top of the lineup to do enough damage. to either tie this game up or go ahead. Now you're looking at the bottom part of this order, which still can do a lot of damage. But that was when you're talking D. Gordon, Gene Segura, how good he's been. Get through that tough part of the lineup. Blake Parker's back out for the 8th inning.
And Mike Scioscia, because of the short start by Garrett Richards, has had to go old school with his bullpen. Parker came in, pitched the 7th, and here he is in the 8th. Angels have an off day tomorrow, but the question is Parker in here for 3 innings? Or is there another option down there for the Angels? It's been Ramirez, Anderson, Alvarez, and now Parker following 2 innings of Richards.
Well, they do have a guy down there with a ton of closing experience with Jim Johnson, and might be an option. I can't see Mike Scioscia having Blake Parker out there for 3 innings.
Yeah,
not going to happen.
He's at 15 pitches now. I think that how he throws this inning as far as efficiency goes could really dictate that.
If he has a 7 or an 8 pitch inning,
yeah.
The count's 0-2 on Span. You've got Healy and then Heredia for Seattle in the 8th. And a check swing and a ball down low.
If you go 3 innings, though, now you're setting yourself up for the next series of really, because it's going to take 3 days, potentially 4 days to come back from a 3-inning experience here. So,
well, look, if Richards' injury is consequential and if he has to head to the 10-day disabled list, you would expect come Friday in Oakland, you'll see a new arm. Longest outing this year from Parker is an inning and 2/3. Span has a couple hits in the game, and he fouls that one off.
Denard Span, not the same player he used to be with the speed and you know, the rate of contact, but still able to have those good at-bats where he's going to get a pitch to hit. He seems fouling off another really nasty splitter there from Blake Parker.
Span singled in the 2nd, singled in the 6th. To right, not well hit, and Young charges in and makes the catch.
And that was that situation, getting a pitch for him to hit. Obviously got it off the handle of the bat, but able to foul off that 2-strike split from Blake Parker and then get a pitch he could handle.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to really see how Mike Scioscia maneuvers his bullpen. This is something Mike Scioscia has had to deal with the last couple of years. They really haven't had a closer. He has not announced a closer this year, nor did he last year in spring training. They had Houston Street. Houston Street was hurt. They wanted Cam Bedrosian. Cam Bedrosian had started off the season on the DL. So they had a bunch of different guys. Bud Norris was a closer for a while, did a nice job, but coming into this season, same scenario. Mike Scioscia
to left. Ryan Healy has tied this game. Upper tank.
Now this is a fastball up in the zone, and Ryan Healy, who is just as hot as anybody else in this Mariner lineup in this series, does it again and delivers.
2 home runs last night. 1 homer in game 1. His 4th home run in this series. The 16th home run in this series by these 2 teams combined, and this was absolutely no doubt.
This is just straight ambush mode from Ryan Healy, and that's a Mariners lineup that we haven't seen in years past, able to beat you up and down the line. This is the 6th-hole hitter. He's now got 13 home runs. Ryan Healy hit 25 last year, and they can beat you in so many ways. This is the guy who started the year off back in April, coming out of the spring, really struggled, went on the DL, had a little DL stint with his ankle, had a chance to really decompress. See D. Gordon's fired up, come back and just set the world on fire. So Ryan Healy, a huge impact on the bottom of that lineup.
Heredia 2nd at bat. Parker now at 21 pitches. You don't often see baseballs up in that territory.
Boy, you do in this series. Boy.
And yes, you do. You're right.
16 home runs in a 3-game series.
It's an all-time record. The old record, which was set numerous times, was 14 for for a 3-game set in this ballpark, and these two teams are at 16 and counting. Is there, I mean, I'm thinking about the home runs that are hit. Are there any cheap ones that we've seen in this series?
Well, we just saw
the one off the top of the wall.
Yeah.
But that's opposite field.
Opposite field.
When you go opposite field,
yep.
if it goes out, it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you have seen some big ones, especially Mitch Haniger going that pitch down and away the other night. Right center field.
Trout's hit 4 of them. Healy's hit 4 of them. Haniger's hit, what, 3?
Where's the humidor?
Yeah, that's right. They might have to install one.
Well, there's plenty of humidity here in Seattle.
There is.
I know.
Something's going on here.
You need a dehumidifier. Here's the 2-2. One pulled foul.
Yeah, it's been strange because it's not been warm. Usually when the temperature's hot, the ball flies out, and it has been cold. First 2 games, both night games, day game here today, and it's not like you put your sunscreen on, you're going to sit and enjoy a ball game. There's people with their jackets on in this game.
Heredia has played well, and in the absence of Cano, his play in center has allowed Gordon's move to second to really be a plus. And Parker thought he had the corner.
The big part of that too with Heredia is watching this really good at bat, his ability to hit righties. This is something that they looked at last year and said, okay, platoon face lefties. He's hitting 297 off right-handed pitchers. He was platooning last year with Ben Gamble. Ben would face the righties, Heredia would face the lefties, so splitting that time in the outfield. Now a chance to play nearly every day. Good at bat.
Missed again. That you could see outside the strike box. Parker slamming his fist into his glove. And you got Heredia on, and here comes Zunino.
Oh, definitely the pitch before. That one looked like it caught the outside part of the plate. This one does not. This one looks off. And I think that's what Parker, when he slammed his fist in his glove, he was not mad at that pitch. He was mad at the pitch 2 pitches ago.
Yeah, but a good at bat in that situation. 2 fastballs too. It's not like these are breaking balls. They're starting outside the strikes, and these are 2 fastballs, borderline pitches with 2 strikes. Usually that's a pitch where you can expand the zone and get that rollover.
Already a good lead.
Ryan, as you well know, when you're the guy on the mound, that guy on the bump, you can show your emotion, but you got to let it go just as quickly because there's damage at home plate waiting to happen if you're not 100% back in the right frame of mind.
Absolutely. You can even see Blake Parker, his tempo's changing a little bit. He's getting that frustration, obviously, after the home run. And now with the pitch to Heredia. It's amazing how that can really linger and carry on through at-bats.
Oliver Drake is up in the Angels pen. You see Colomé in the Mariners pen. And remember, the Mariners have a couple of relievers that you get a sense that Scott Service would like to stay away from. One of those is Edwin Diaz. The other might be James Pazos. Although Pazos has gone in 3 straight. Diaz has gone in 3 straight. We'll see how this rest of this game unfolds.
The way both those guys are too, watching them do their thing and hearing their personalities, I guarantee you they'll call them down the dugout and say, hey, I'm good to go in this situation. But you've got to give those guys a chance to have a breather, especially Edwin Diaz, a young arm like that. Right. He pitched a ton in April. So there's a situation where Colomé came in, give him that breather, especially in the 9th inning.
Zunino pounds it foul. And it's 1-2.
And last split from Blake Parker. That's the one I talked about in April that just kind of tumbles into the zone with Mike Zunino at the plate. Boy, you cannot make those kind of mistakes. Got away with that. Well, Zunino, 10 home runs from your catcher is... You'll take that. There's value right there. And defensively, he's a rock behind home plate. He's always been a guy that has been able to block balls, throw guys out.
Yeah.
Always gives you that solid defense. He's got a swing and miss in his game, but he also has the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark. 10 home runs, 22 RBIs, 23 with the RBI he got in the second inning.
Well, he had 25 last year, and that was with a shortened season. He spent some time down in AAA, and literally from when he came back, that's when he went on a tear. And I mean, when you're talking offensively, and what he does defensively, stealing those strikes. It's a big spot right here. Talking about stealing strikes, just the ability to pitch frame. He's one of the best, in my opinion. And throwing guys out. He's trying a couple Tampa Bay Rays out in the series before the Angels came to town.
He's not had a great run against Parker, though Parker's 30 pitches in. 2-2. He keeps picking at that outside corner. You could see from the strike track that ball was outside.
Mike's, you know, the other part of his game, obviously, offensive, defensively, you talk about the home runs, but also pitches per plate appearance. This is a guy who, third, fourth year in to the big leagues, now he's starting to really recognize the strike zone. He's not a really good at bat, 3-2, getting a chance to get his pitch to hit in a big situation.
And you got Heredia with some speed at first.
When you're talking about Blake Parker trying to pick away that outside part of the plate, we're back in time, and I had an opportunity to play with the great closer Lee Smith. And Lee Smith's motto was, I will never get beat in a late in a game on something on the inner half of the plate. If you're going to beat me, you're going to have to beat me on the outer half of the plate.
Let's see if Heredia runs. Not running, 3-2. And Zunino, who is very susceptible to a strikeout, punches out, and a good decision to keep Heredia anchored at first.
And that's that good split. So Mike Zunino got the one that just kind of tumbled into the zone. He missed it. This is the really good one for Blake Parker, and Blake Parker gets a swing and a miss.
That was a big pitch too. When you think about, Mark, you mentioned that tumbling split, coming off that home run, off the walk, 3-2. He knows he has to throw strikes. Can't be in a situation where he can pitch around Mike Zunino. So that's a big pitch right there. Good execution.
Yep. Blake Parker, 32 years old, been around the game for a long time, and that's where that calmness comes in. And when you have those mileage underneath you, these kind of things don't really get under your skin.
Pitches a strike to Andrew Romine. If you're just joining us, this game has been exactly like every game in this series. Monday night was a wild one. Home run after home run. Trout hit 2, Cruz hit 2. Healy hit a 2-run shot. Seattle won at 5-3. Last night, Seattle 6-3, more homers, 4 more homers, some crazy plays, some big defensive plays. And back and forth, the Angels and the Mariners have gone to a 6-6 score with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. And Mike Scioscia has really had to manage hard, and I mean creatively. He lost his starting pitcher 2 innings in, Garrett Richards, a hamstring. He lost his shortstop. Zach Cozart injured a shoulder on a diving play. He's already down, obviously, Andrelton Simmons. So he's been in his pen early and often, and that one is stroked foul. And it's still early June, so you can't say it's a crucial game or a must-win game. But for the Angels, they want to validate this run they were on, that 6-game win streak. The fact that, hey, this is despite the loss of Ohtani and the absence of Simmons and Calhoun, this is a ball club that can keep pace at least until somebody comes back.
Yeah, you feel like somewhere down the road, General Manager Billy Epler is going to make some moves. The Angels, they're going to need some bodies here, and Billy Epler has always done a good job at certainly bullpen. The Angels are going to need some bullpen help. And with Ohtani down, you're just not sure. It's going to be 3 weeks before they reevaluate Shohei Ohtani to see what's going on with his arm. And I don't expect him back on the mound anytime soon, but you could see him in the batter's box if they feel like it's healing.
Romine swings and misses, and Parker gets through and finishes the inning, but not before the Mariners use another long ball to tie this game up. Ryan Healy 441 feet, putting D. Gordon in motion. And tying this game at 6.
Well, the way the series has gone, you almost expect nothing less. But certainly both managers, he talks about Diaz and Pazos, two guys that Scott Service would like to stay away from in this series. Mike Scioscia, because of the short outing with Garrett Richards, is now climbing into that. And this is the stage of the game where you start looking at starters that are in the dugout and saying, all right, who feels good? And see, go get your cleats on. If you think you can give us some innings, go get your spikes on, start getting ready, because we're going to get to that point here very soon.
All right, Mark Langston, listen up here. The 2018 Camping World Major League Baseball All-Star Ballot is now open and exclusively online. You can vote for your favorite players at MLB.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 89th Major League Baseball All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 17th, live on Fox and ESPN Radio. Shortstop for the American League. We've been talking about the two teams here and their shortstops, and we've kind of gone around the balloting, which does not have Gene Segura in the top 5, the first vote. But there's so many really good choices. There's Carlos Correa, there's Francisco Lindor, there's Manny Machado, who is now a shortstop. The voting right now has Machado first, Lindor second, Didi Gregorius third, Correa fourth, and Simmons fifth. Now Segura should be in there, and I would expect a few people that are watching online to say, hey, how about Eduardo Escobar of Minnesota? The Twins' young shortstop is terrific at 12 homers and OPS of over 900. He belongs in that conversation too.
We just came, the Angels just came from Minnesota, so we got to see it firsthand, and he is another talented. I feel like the great shortstops are in the AL, and certainly if you're a shortstop putting up big numbers, again, the path to get to the All-Star game is a difficult one.
And again, my solution is you get about 5 or 6 of those American League shortstops and let them play other positions.
He'll play left field?
Sure. Pujols rips it left field himself. Albert doesn't run well. Off the wall, it's picked up there by Span, and Pujols has to settle for a single on a laser to left.
Yeah, Albert has had those feet problem, knee issues. Certainly has played more first base, and Mike Scioscia is going to pinch run. Looks like Jabari Blash is going to pinch run for Albert. But out with Shohei Ohtani now with the ball club, that Albert had to be on the field because Ohtani was going to DH. And so Albert's been more at first base this year, and now with Ohtani on the DL, that Albert's going to DH more. So
Nolan Fontana has had an eventful ball game, and he lays down a bunt that's wide of third. Now, this is about the only thing that Fontana hasn't done well in that is bunt, but he homered in the 7th. And remember, he started that key double play when the Angels got out of a bases loaded, nobody out spot.
And this is the second time where I'm unable to get that bunt down, which again is that lost art in baseball, bunting guys over, especially a guy like Fontana is a shortstop. Usually that infielder, that middle infielder, or that speedy outfielder has that skill set, being able to bunt.
That one is fouled back. Now look, in baseball, a lot of the skills are being revolutionized by performance labs. This is close to Driveline, which is the great pitching resource and where they've done incredible work with pitching. Tom Verducci had that great article in Sports Illustrated to open the year on launch angle and the new swing and all of that. The bunting performance lab I've not seen pop up on the radar yet. And
there's your in right there.
There you go.
Maybe that's our niche right there, where we could get some traction.
Well, you look at the Angels. Angels only 3 sack bunts this season. The Seattle Mariners, they are first in the AL, 18 sack bunts for the Mariners this year.
And that's an empty at bat that Mike Scioscia, I know, who still has some of those old school sensibilities and wanted just to get Blash into scoring position.
Well, nothing screams more of the game changing, especially we talk about two-strike approaches. Guys like Harvey Baez, and you see some of the swings from these young players. Obviously, the big leg kick and trying to get that body, that momentum to drive the ball. And I think, you know, when you think about it, and with the shifts too, everyone's like, why can't these guys hit against the shift more often? I think the game and the business side of this game dictates, another pickoff move to first base, dictates the fashion of what these guys are trying to do. Home runs, if you can hit 220 and you hit 35, 40 home runs, you're going to make a lot of money in this game. So that's a situation if you're a guy in AA, AAA who wants to break through. It comes down to how hard can I hit this ball, how far can I hit this ball, and that's really that one tool that has to really stand out in today's game.
Maldonado is 1 for 3, a run for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
And on the flip side of that too, if you're in that chase and it's September and you have to have the ability to be able to lay a bunt down to get those two guys in scoring position and get that win for that team. It's definitely something that's gone out of fashion. Even speeches, D. Gordon talks about that a lot.
Fastball up, high throw, and Healy used every bit of that glove to haul that one back in.
Hey, I think he got a springboard off the first base bag also. This is one Mike Zunino trying to backpick, and just got away from him a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan Healy, another guy underrated as far as his defense goes over at first base, and they've been waiting a long time to have a good defensive first baseman, and finally Ryan Healy's made some really good plays that haven't gotten much notice this season.
Blash at first, ball in the dirt, and Zunino gets down and smothers that.
And I think one of the reasons Mike Scioscia was trying to bunt, they're trying to get that lead, obviously, here in the top of the 9th inning, because the pitching staff down there in the bullpen is very thin for the Angels, with Garrett Richards only going 2 innings, trying to get that runner in scoring position. And the statistical information and the analytical information.
That's to right, and it's hit pretty well, and it's caught on the run, and Blash was off the bag. He's out at first, and that's a double play, and that cannot happen. Haniger makes the catch. Blash was not running on the pitch, but ball off the bat. He rounded second and actually never re-tagged second on his way back to first.
Yeah, he would have been out anyway you looked at it, but what a nice catch right here by Mitch Haniger, who started the game in center field and then back into his familiar territory in right field. We saw it. It's the second time in this game where Haniger not only makes a great play, this time right here makes the catch, and Blash, he was going to be gone anyway you looked at it, but this is something that you're right. You got to go halfway in a game like this and read this play.
And another thing, base running, just one of the little nuances that gets overlooked when you're talking about skill set and evaluating players. This is huge right here. This is something that definitely, if you're not going to get scored for not being able to put a bunt down, that's something where Mike Scioscia probably jumping on Jabari Blash. That's a big situation here in the top of the 9th.
Well, Haniger made the play. Here's the play again. He's not running. Ball off the bat. Haniger a good jump and is a pretty good outfielder. We saw the great throw last night. And now watch Blash. He'll touch second. He did not retouch, so he was going to be out regardless.
Yep.
When you pass second, if you're going backwards, you've got to retouch before you go to first. So 2 mistakes there. And what looked like a promising start for the Angels that inning goes up in smoke.
Mitch Haniger showing that arm strength off a second night in a row. Off balance on his back foot, turns around and throws a good ball into first base.
All right, 6-6. Now, look, if you're a umpire fan, this is a great day because Tom Hallion is behind home plate. He has one of the great strike 3 calls. He's also wearing a mic for us. Let's take a look and a listen. That is great stuff. Now look, there's a story behind that, and he has always been one of the most entertaining home plate umpires because of that call. And a few years back, I asked him, I said, Tom, where did you develop that call? Probably a dozen to 15 years ago, there was an umpire work stoppage, and the union and Major League Baseball, there were umpires that were fired. There were umpires that were sent back to the minor leagues and told that you're going to have to work your way back. And some of those umpires didn't take that. Tom Hallion did. He went back down to the minor leagues to try to work his way back to the major leagues. And he said that he started that called strike 3 in the minor leagues just to kick himself in the butt and remind him to focus and to be sharp, because he knew that if he was going to get back to the major leagues, he had to earn it. He had to be great, and he's back. That one rifled to right, and it's caught there. And when Hallion got back to the big leagues, guys, he kept that strike 3 call because that had kind of become a thing for him. It's a mental reminder to stay sharp and stay on it, because, as you know, we all spent time in the minor leagues. That can be tough cities and long nights. And to his credit, he got back to the big leagues and has had a really nice career.
Got to say, too, that energy level stayed up. That last one was in the 8th inning, that strike 3 call. Yes. So that energy level is able to stay up. Love it.
And it is beginning to rain here in Seattle.
It takes about 15 to 16 minutes to close the roof.
And I don't see the roof actually moving at the moment.
This is a sudden shower that's hit Seattle. Go figure that. Rain in Seattle. And Segura's up, and he takes a strike. Elise Woodward, you've got a roof update here in the 9th. What have you got?
Yeah, guys, I don't have a roof. I'm not cozy up in the booth like you guys. I'm out here in the elements right next to the Angels dugout. It's coming down pretty good right now. It's definitely a shower. Trying not to get soaked over here, but they can move the roof.
And it is moving right now.
And it is moving. It'll take about 10 minutes for that thing to come all the way across and close it up.
Usually hear an alarm bell go off, and then it's a couple minutes after that, and then it slowly starts.
All right, if it's 10 minutes, at least we will not come down to you for another 10 minutes, so go find a dry place. D. Gordon with that line drive is the first out here in what has been a fun ball game and a wild game here in the bottom of the 9th. Segura facing Oliver Drake. Pitch foul back to the screen. Drake, who worked an inning last night, made his Angels debut at the start of this month. Is the first Angels player to have attended the Naval Academy.
I don't know if the guys salute him and stand it.
They should.
They should, no question.
Facing Segura, who has 2 hits. In his last 2 at-bats, he's 2 for 4. RBI double last time up. Lifts it into the rain and out of play.
You know, the thing that really impresses me with Gene Segura is his ability to keep the ball in the middle of the field. You don't see him pull off a whole lot of pitches, and he stays on everything. And obviously, when there's a mistake on the inner half, he's able to turn and burn and hit it to the left field seats. But he is a guy that's focused on trying to hit the ball right back up the middle, right where it came from.
Especially with 2 strikes as well. A situation where he's bailing out, stays on every single pitch.
Oliver Drake, 1-2. Another high fastball, and it's fouled back.
Oliver Drake fastball split right over the top. Used to call somebody like this Iron Mike, the old pitching machines.
Remember, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon if you're a roof. You wish it was a sprint if you were a fan right now. Segura, center, shallow, Trout dives. No, couldn't get it. And he didn't leave his feet. It looked like he was about to launch. He stayed on his feet and couldn't get the ball.
And Gene Segura again, another 2-strike hit, staying up the middle on a tough Oliver Drake on the mid-90s with that split. This is what makes him so good. And again, when you're talking about an all-star campaign for Gene Segura. Look at what he's done when it really counts. Another hit to lead off this to get on base in this 9th inning.
This is one of these plays. This is a do-or-die play, and if you lay out for this and you're wrong, this could be a game changer. So for Mike Trout, he plays it safe, and he still just misses this. So, you know, that's one that you got to think quickly in your head. Do I lay out for it? But if I miss this and I'm wrong, this ball gets by me with the speed of Gene Segura. He's at least at third base.
4-run lead, middle of the game. He probably dives.
Definitely.
Tie game. Bottom of the 9th inning.
You don't die.
You don't die.
If you do die, but you better come up 100%, that's for sure, or figure out how to get a body part in front of it and knock it down.
Haniger here is 1 for 4. As big a hero as Seattle has had throughout the season. This guy, Haniger to left. That ball's deep. That ball's gone! Ball game! Seattle walks it off and sweeps the Angels. And Mitch Haniger has done it again.
17th home run in this series, and it's a walk-off. You expect nothing less. Mitch Haniger gets this fastball up in the zone and able to just clear the left field fence for the sweep of the Los Angeles Angels.
In the rain, the Mariners have swept the Angels. And this runaway freight train is showing no signs of slowing down. Bring on the Red Sox. They arrive tomorrow night. Seattle is 20 over.
And they've been doing this all year late in games. There is something special going on right now because they are never out of it. Down 2 runs, heading into that 7th inning. And Mitch Haniger, again, this is not his first time doing this, getting that pitch to handle and crushing it.
2 homers last night. That video game throw from the corner in right field. And now a walk-off homer. 17 home runs combined in this 3-game series.
Mitch Haniger laid out in the month of May. He cooled off a lot. This is already his 6th home run in the month of June, doing big things. Man, wasn't that bad?
Yeah, it's a tough blow for the Angels, who fought back hard to get in this game. Actually had a 2-run lead, but again, the way the Seattle Mariners have been on a roll, they believe. And every team goes through this. Everything goes through a part of the season where they get on rolls like this and you feel like nothing will stop you.
Mitch Haniger, what a series, what a season so far, and he's down with our Elise Woodward. Elise?
All right, thanks. Mitch, what a series for you. The walk-off home run, I don't know if it gets any sweeter than that, especially the way you guys have been playing right now. Just tell me what you saw on that pitch.
Yeah, just a splitter low and in, and luckily stayed through and kept it fair and got enough of it to get over the fence. So we've been playing great, been pitching awesome, and never out of ball games when you have a lineup like we do, so it's been fun to play with these guys.
You don't seem nearly as excited as your teammates did. You got doused with the Gatorade?
Just focus on the breathing, keep my heart rate down. So
what is that heart rate doing right now?
It's pumping a little bit, but it's been fun. It's good. That's a good thing.
Tell me about your play in the corner. Again, for the 2nd night in a row, it's not just your bat, but it's also your defense. And the play to get the double play late in this one, such a key moment. What'd you see as that play developed?
Yeah, Maldonado put a good swing on the ball down the line, and we've been playing great defense all year. So for us, pitching and defense have been carrying us, and now we're starting to swing the bats more and more. So it's been really fun. We got a good group of guys in the clubhouse, and the energy's been great.
I was going to say, that energy, today obviously everybody feels energized. You just swept the Angels. You guys are 20 games over 500. And the way you're playing, it's the surprise of baseball. What is it like in that clubhouse right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're not surprised. I know other people are, but just trying to focus on one game at a time, one pitch at a time with these guys. And everybody's bought in, everybody got each other's back. So it's been really fun. There's been a different energy this year in the clubhouse. Started in spring training, just 2nd year with these guys for me. And getting to know guys more and more, it's been really fun, and I'm having a great time playing.
Well, the rain came, and then you got doused with Gatorade anyway, so we'll let you go shower up. Great game today, Mitch. Yeah, that's Mitch Haniger. We'll send it back up to you.
All right, Elise, nice job today. Boy, this was a wild ride. At the start of the day, we talked about this series and what a great series it had been. Unfortunately for the Angels, the Mariners had won the first 2 games. And this game holds true to script. It's the same script. It's home runs. It's back and forth. and Seattle gets the sweep.
Yeah, and you said it, back and forth, and there's something with this Mariners offense, they are never out of it. And you talk about different elements of this lineup. Again, the top of the lineup with Gene Segura and D. Gordon, that 1-2 punch at the top, and then you got Nelson Cruz in the middle. But the bottom end, you cannot say enough about Ryan Healy, a guy who hit 25 home runs. They're going to be in his 6-hole. Mike Zunino down the other end of that. Everyone playing their part. It was a huge game for the Mariners.
Yeah, tough blow for the Angels. They had to fight, scratch, and claw to try to come out of the series with something positive, and they actually had a 6-4 lead, and it looked okay. But with Garrett Richards leaving after the second inning, it compromised the bullpen, and Mike Scioscia was not able to really set his bullpen up the way he wanted to in this game. And certainly the Mariners, the way they're rolling, and they are on that special roll right at the moment. I don't know if they could continue this, but they are on a good path right at the moment. But this was a great series. This was back and forth, and certainly another one-run win here for Seattle. They are absolutely dominating baseball in one-run games.
It's amazing. Seattle ends up hitting 10 home runs, 17 combined homers in this series. And a wild ride ends with a walk-off homer by Mitch Haniger. And ever since Robinson Cano went out of the lineup, Seattle is 21-7. How about that? So, for Ryan Rowland-Smith, for Mark Langston, for our entire MLB Network production crew, great day here today on MLB Live on Facebook Watch. 8-6 Mariners. I'm Rich Waltz. We'll see you next week.